Thank you for still being here. Well, needless to say, the last part of the maps were a bit intense, and they were important to understand, actually. The information that they've showed us kind of, at this point, helps me to understand, and hopefully it will help you to understand also, really why the Beloveds have taken the course over the last 10 years that they have taken to teach us the certain types of things that they have taught us. Because when we see these last set of maps, the maps that weren't done in time to get them to Kinko's, so they're not in your packs, right? We got the first one of those, but then there was ones that came after that showed a bit about where we started in 2000 with the stellar activation cycle, shows quickly the stages of our shift and why, and most importantly, it brings us to what this is all about, where 2012 comes into it and what we've actually been being prepared for and why. And if we didn't have the knowledge that we've been taught over the last 10 years that has to do with the structure of everything, of the cosmos and the processes and all those things, we would not have been able to even comprehend what is taking place and what we're literally walking in the middle of. And it is literally the showdown, let's call it, in 2012 is a matter of life or death, not just for the beings on this planet, but for a lot of other places as well. We would have seen rapid pole shift in between 2012 and 2015 if this work is not successful, is what it comes down to. We're doing good so far, really, really good, especially since we did make the first part of the essential alignment by making the leap into metagalactic probability 6. And these leaps are, we're not like, you're not watching our solar system leap from one place to another. They're leaping in what frequencies are coming in and activating within the core encryption of the planet and within our bodies and that kind of thing. That is what progressively aligns us with what event horizon we will see as our future, also our past as well. So when we're seeing this, it's when we talk about the leaps and that we're moving through these probability fields, these fields blend together, so you don't see a gap like all of a sudden your planet disappears and pops up somewhere else and you remember it disappearing. We move through them because our BPR is changing. There are long time cycles that usually take a very long time, but in a triggered starfire ascension cycle, which was triggered because the grids were going to crash in the galaxy, which would have taken us out with them, what would usually take many hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of years to complete, we're actually jumping through those cycles as quickly as possible to get to a certain alignment. And it is this particular alignment that is absolutely essential for 2012, and it starts with this workshop. Well, it really started with the Sarasota workshop. That was the first that made this possible. But the second activation that we are going to assist in anchoring on this planet tonight is absolutely essential. It is an alignment that could not happen on any other probability vector. That's why we had to get into the Metagalactic 6 alignment for this to occur. And when we get to that stage in the graphs, you know, I will spend more time explaining about it. So it was worth staying up forever and trying to get these graphs done. We will try to get them mailed, mail you a copy of the last few. I'm not going to give you the body ones because they're not finished yet. They're just to illustrate points so you understand things, how they're working in the body. But the maps themselves, especially the last few, and the one that took ages, that explains about these certain alignments that are occurring. And there's also one that explains a bit about the date cycle that we have between now and 2012, what is occurring in what period. So those things I would like you to have, and they'd be like the rest of your chart pack kind of thing. So at least you got that. You haven't seen a lot of me, but at least you have a lot of me on paper that you can take home with you and study. Thank you for your patience. Alrighty. This is just to remind us that yesterday, whenever it was, feels like a million years ago, last time we were together, we talked about the probability alignments and cycles in our universe. We started within our Vecca universe. We started with simply understanding on the natural rotations of the probability lines where our actual PCM universal Vecca is, and then later we learned that it's actually tilted and split in two, because this, what we're looking at, is the Andromeda Galaxy, what they call the Andromeda Galaxy M31. And over here is our parallel Vecca. And this is where black hole problems are happening because they interface with a massive black hole system that is in the parallel Akasha level. Next one, please. There we go. This is that same diagram, but we're seeing a bit more of the action happening with our parallel system, because this is still not showing the Milky Way yet. It's just showing the M31 system and the parallel M31 system over in this Vecca. So these systems in here would be the parallels of our system here, and they are parallels. We would find parallel Earth over here, I believe. Yeah, parallel Earth is over here. And when we see our Milky Way, you'll see that there's our Earth is in the Milky Way part of this system. And that this becomes important. We've learned in the diagrams that you'll see that you haven't seen yet. This particular thing here where the two overlap, they refer to it as the dragon's eye, and we'll find out why. It's the dragon's eye or the eye of the beast. And we'll see why, because there are certain things happening with this matrix over here. We've talked about how they've been progressively trying to, invade and bring in this system, eat this system into these black holes to feed their black hole system, because this system is entirely fallen now, and so is the larger one. So we will look at a bit more of what that means, especially in relation to 2012. Next one, please. Alrighty, this one is showing the split in our Vecca system. We have our Vecca 5, and we were on Metagalactic 6, which is the sixth metagalaxy within the Eka Universe 5. And this was our M31 system, which is now the Andromeda Galaxy, and this is our Milky Way Galaxy at a different tilt. So we found that actually our location right in here is where Earth is. This is our solar system. We're in Solar System 3, and it's Planet 3, that is Earth. And this is where we began to understand our coordinates and understand this as maps, where you could actually place where we are located within the outer space maps, as far as what stars and those kind of things are where and what do they actually belong to. So I'll go to the next one, please. This is one that it's in your chart, Pat, that we basically showed how our location is here as our solar system, and it's actually located here, that these arms actually correspond to layers or bands within the metagalactic structure. So what science calls a galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, is actually what the beloveds call a metagalaxy, a metagalactic structure, which has lots of smaller galaxies and solar systems within it. And we found too that this would be our Milky Way up here, and then up here is actually the M31, the Andromeda system, the Aquinas Universal Vecca 6 on Metagalactic 6 is actually what we see, or what the science. I don't know if they see them, even take pictures of them yet. I think they do get pictures from Hubble though of that, or they're either that or they're getting them from computer assimilated things from radio waves and things. I'm not sure how they get those pictures yet, but these are known, things that exist in science in this world. And this is showing that these are indeed maps, that you can tell these relationships. What science doesn't see are these underpinning structures that actually hold galaxies and universes together, and they don't understand the relationships between galaxies and universes yet, where just because they may be light years apart doesn't mean they weren't born from the same encryption. They fit into this structure. This is the structure that, the spirit body structure that all things are birthed through, but then things can happen to them once they are birthed. They can fragment, they can go into black hole fall, where they're no longer in the natural arrangements. Our Milky Way system is in the process of becoming no longer the natural arrangement. It is a falling system. It will be after 2230 AD. It is a hosting system until that, which is an evacuation system. And we are assisting with that evacuation process on this planet. So this is just reminding you of the things we looked at yesterday. Next one, please. And pardon me if I'm tired. I'm really, really tired. So I talk a little slower. This again, we looked at where we were looking at the black hole interface is over here from Vega 2, and these are the meta galaxies in Vega 2, and that's the Vega 2, and this is our Vega 5 with our split metagalaxy, and this is still all metagalaxy 6, right? This is the Milky Way part of it, so we call them metagalaxy 6. They have a center point in the metagalaxies. Metagalaxy 6 its natural core star would be here, and that is actually in the Andromeda system, and we call that MG6A. And then the split part of it that actually is this is where the hole is in the middle of our Milky Way galaxy as science sees it. This is a split part of what was the metagalactic core from the Andromeda system, and that is actually the black hole around which our solar system has formed. And what formed most of what is in our solar system, some things have been brought in from other systems for collisions with other systems that also were in fall, but most of what is in our solar system is actually birthed through the encryption that was held within its original system, the M31 system. There's going to be an interface that occurs here that has to do with this little alignment right here. You can see this. That's where the MG6A is, which is metagalactic core of the Andromeda system, right? Our metagalactic core is down here now, and that's where our black hole at the center of our galaxy is. But this one, look where it interfaces. It's interfacing here with Solar System 3, Earth, right? This is Earth and 3, and our Sun. There's an interface here that becomes very important later, but not while we're in this position. So we will look at that in the maps to come. I wanted to point it out now that it was there in the earlier maps, but it becomes more significant in a little while. Next one, please. I'll spend most of the time talking on the new graphs. That's why I'm just kind of stepping through what we looked at before. Now, at the end of our last session, we did the first activation in the essential alignment great crossover. And again, that great crossover is we need to get our Avias bodies, which is actually the water gel body that surrounds our atomic structure, that it holds the base encryption and the alignments, the angular alignments that the atoms will be able to move into. And right now we are all biologically locked into the Milky Way alignment, which means that the twisted axes and all of these, that our bodies actually carry that in the gene code and the atomic structure itself. And what we need to do is to come back to the original organic alignment. It's important to be able to do this, because if we can't do that, we won't be able to finish what the host mission is here. And the host mission is trying to assist us and this planet and this galactic shield and metagalactic shield from not getting sucked down into this black hole system. Now, the original Crystal River mission, which the Amenti mission was a smaller part of, was intended to try to get the Milky Way galaxy re-evolved back into the Andromeda system in a natural, orderly fashion, so we didn't have to worry about the system getting taken down by the black hole systems over here. That project is not going to work. The system is going to go down. But the Andromeda system isn't. There's a whole layer of these on each of these probability lines that they are still in their natural order and structure. So even though the Milky Way is going to go into black hole fall, the Andromeda system isn't. And these are all different probabilities of this same setup, each one of these vector lines. But a lot of them, if you landed on those planets or stars, you would have no idea by looking at them that's a version of this, right? That's a version of Earth, really? Because it might be very, very different when you look at it. But what determines it is what's the core encryption. And if they were birthed out in the same way, all of these are actually probable versions of each other. The same thing applies to around a central sun like our sun. There would be naturally 12 planets or stars. They would be stars if they were living. 12 stars around it, and each one would represent a version of that central sun. It's like the encryption breaks down into 12 pieces. So there are connections between the galaxies all over the multiverse that we exist within that science doesn't realize yet, the core encryptions between them. And those core encryptions determine a lot of things, such as what gates can open between them and what combinations work and what combinations are deadly, those kind of things, as far as combining energy encryption and radiation encryptions. So anyway, what we've accomplished so far is we have done the first activation, and not only assisted in the beloveds, of course, in their much larger levels of existence, are activating these core structures. We have what was called Adjugate 9. That's actually the center, it's actually the center of the adjugate to this one. This is in the Andromeda system, and we're on 3 over here. This is galactic 3 in the Andromeda system. And if you traced it down and pretended the Milky Way wasn't over here, right, this would be on the opposite of the opposite vector of the, or actually opposite event horizon on the vector line, the 3-9 vector line. So they're using the adjugate frequencies. We've actually opened these frequencies into this cosmos, into the Milky Way, into our galactic shield, into our solar shield, and we have anchored it here on the planet. And believe me, we're the only people working with this level of the technologies on the planet consciously. There isn't anybody else that understands this level of it. And we have been consciously, and what you participated in was anchoring the frequencies first that came through from that Adjugate 9 opening. And another set, what those frequencies will run into our system is directly from the Sun and from Eartha in the Andromeda system. And there's both of these triangulated through our metagalactic core, which means they came through that black hole at the center. See, the black hole is progressively becoming active now, which science hasn't figured out yet. It has been relatively appearing to be dormant, but it is going to progressively become more active because of what's happening with it over here, because it directly links into ours. So right now, we are able to, because these guys are sending frequencies through, we can send frequencies too. And what we've been doing, actually, we've been working with some of their numeric codes, the 11s, 11s, and 12s, because we could intercept them and turn them around and change part of them back into Christic currents. So a lot of the times we would parallel each other. That's where you kind of find the New Age movement, where a lot of them are working the Metatronic system, which goes with the Beast apparatus, which goes with the black hole systems, and they will have certain similarities to the teachings that we've used because of the interfaces that we are attempting to, well, we have been progressively taking back some of that current and bringing it back onto a Christic spiral and a Christic usage. So we've opened this triangulation here. This is called the 333 Adjugate 9 triangulation. There's the Adjugate 9, and this is the 333. That's where we have Galactic 3, Galactic 3, Solar System 3, and Stellar 3, which would be Planetary 3. All right. And we also saw that that particular configuration literally is opening within the structure of our mental body. And the mental body is a body like we have here, but it is made out of a different type of matter. It has a brain and those kind of things, but the brain is only a tool. It's not the whole mind. That is just a focus for the mind. So we have actually begun the process. The first part is to create the changes in the mental body field, in the atomic atoms of your multidimensional body. And we've started this. This is the beginning. The second activation is wild. I had no idea. And this is where we get into the word, what was it? Mashayahana? Mashayahana. Right? We find out a bit more about what Mashayahana means and what it is. We've talked a bit before about the Mashayas, and that has to do with the Mashaya fold. It has to do with ascension and ones that can go back into the center. And that's where the distortion of that word through our history that was Messiah came from and that kind of thing, which is more like a twist that made it an external thing where some people were that and others couldn't be that and that kind of thing. Where we don't do messiahs, but we do mashayas, right? And we all have the ability to get back our messianic potential, and that's what we were doing with the ascension teachings, where we can bring back the ability to go through organic Christ star ascension. So we'll find out what the Mashayahana has to do with this triangulation as we progress through the maps to come. Next one, please. Yeah. Yeah, let me find myself here on this map to go. Oh, God. Yeah. On this one, this is where we started out in actually, in 22,326 BC, during the period of time we've talked about before, it was called the Iani Massacre, when we ended up in a stalemate and we managed to get the gates shut before the system got eaten by the black hole mass, because that's what they were trying to do for ages here. And when our stellar activation cycle actually activated this time and the gates were permitted to open, the beloveds knew there was going to be, uh-oh, here we go, because that old drama that they couldn't do on Earth, that the ones in the fall systems could not orchestrate while our gates were closed. As soon as the gates opened, the beloveds knew it was going to go into the final conflict drama again. And there was hope that we would be able to prolong this and it would go more smoothly if it hadn't been for actually the Anu races breaking the Treaty of Altair in 2000. It would have proceeded more slowly, this whole thing. We would not have ended up in Starfire at this time. But that's all right. It's kind of like it was coming anyway. Might as well get it over with. So here we are in this drama, and what this drama has to do with when our gates opened. Now, what we're looking at, this is where we are now, right? This is our metagalactic shield, the Milky Way, and this is its interface with the Andromeda system on the metagalactic 6 line. So that's where we are now. But where we started was over here on the metagalactic 1 line, I believe. Yeah, that what it is. I'm trying to remember because I did about 3 or 4 of these, and each one has a little bit different on it. Yeah, we ended up in 1. We're over here at this point. We're here, our Milky Way. If you turn these, if you rotate these on these axes, and the easiest way to line them up is you just take this and line up the ones that are in good shape. Take it as 2 of them together. And that's what I had to do. I had to cut them out and then rotate them, right, to get the alignments right. Where you just line up the center of the one, the M31 one that is doing all right, and you just line that up on whatever axis you want to put it on, right? So we put it on 1 because that's when we were on 1, and this is the placement it gives you. We had the M31 system here and the Milky Way system here when they were aligned on metagalactic 1. So we have, galactic 1 and metagalactic 1. That's where we started. But look at the interface of this. Here is this eye-shaped thing, the dragon eye, they call it, right, where the Vecca 2 universe interfaces with the Vecca 5 universe. And it is through that eye that actually these black hole systems have been raiding into this system. And we were in direct alignment with that. This is why they closed the gates in 22,326 BC, to prevent this from happening. But they knew eventually you couldn't just sit there, or we would just burn out. Our planet would burn out, our solar system would burn out, our galaxy would burn out. So there was always the hope of trying to get the galaxy re-evolved back into the natural structure where it would not interface. This can be interfaced with it, but it's at a different angular rotation of particle spin, the M31, and it's still connected to the natural primal life force circulations. So it can't be taken down when it goes into overphase unless it lost so much quantum that the black holes had greater quantum than the system. They can't eat stuff bigger than them. They can pick at it, but they can't suck in something that is larger than themselves in quantum because they don't have enough pull to do that. So this system, the M31 system, is large enough, and still is so far, to have not gone down, but part of it did, and that part of it, started to be pulled in, and that part is called the Milky Way, where we live. So where we are here, this is very good compared to where we started. It was a mess. This was the boundary here where that eye opened into our system, and we were like right here in the middle of the mess. And this is why until our first shift was from the metagalactic 1 to metagalactic 3. So literally from 22,326 BC until August of 2003, when we made the jump to the 3rd metagalactic alignment and out of this one, we were literally sitting on top of black holes. This is why the drama has progressively been manifesting here on this planet, and we've been caught in this. And it's amazing that we've actually made it through this far with how bad this alignment was to begin with. This alignment is quite nasty. Over here on this side, there is a complex that is in the Vecca 2 system. and it's hard for me to read the numbers right now because my eyes are so tired. But see these large, I've made a little bit larger than their natural size. See the natural size of these guys, and then this one's a big one. It just means I'm trying to highlight the size of that. Now this one is Galactic 6. Now this is the Metagalactic 6 shield, which is the parallel to ours. All right, this system isn't split; it's completely fallen. So it's not split like that. It's as if you took the Andromeda thing and completely made the whole thing fall. This is fallen. It's because of its interface with that much larger black hole that cuts through its system. And if you notice, it's the central sun of this entire Vecca, the universal central sun, is actually in the Borgia black hole alignment. Now, there are still pathways through some of these things that can lead you back into the organic Christic flows. But when a system falls, it progressively becomes closed unless it uses the beastly Metatronic type technologies, which are feeder technologies. They were designed specifically to bend the laws of physics to allow something that would naturally burn itself out, go back to space dust so it could go home with the flows, eternal life flows, instead to feed off other life fields in order to continue having enough energy to spin. Because atoms need to spin, and solar systems need to spin, and galaxies need to spin. They have to have momentum and energy. And black hole systems are no longer capable of generating their own energy because their light field is damaged. It is a Shona light field that does not have the ability, like Partakai, to phase. And if it can't phase, it can't spark. And if it can't spark, it can't generate, self-replenish its own energy. And that's the main difference between a false system and an ascension system. Ascension systems are built of Shalaya light units that are they have those three parts where they have the Avias, and then they have the two Aveas, and that they're parts of the structure you don't see, and they phase and they make atoms, and once atoms are made, they charge them so they can by phasing. So the Shalaya light units actually recharge the atomic structure, so atoms don't have half-lives and those kind of things. They don't die because of the eternal life structure of the Avias and Aveas parts of the atomic body. But these systems don't have that anymore because for abuses, basically, of free will choices that were made on large mass levels by many different groups, they ended up with a consequence, the consequence in physics, which is the only punishment that there is in the cosmos. God doesn't punish you. God's source consciousness field doesn't. But the rules of materialization are known by everyone who comes into the matrix first. You may forget them as you progressively get embedded, but the rules are basic, that there's certain ways that the energy works in these matrices. If you bend those rules to a certain degree and go and work in a way that's of opposite expression to divine will, which is eternal life, and it's built on love, and it's built on cooperation. But eventually, if you push in the opposite direction of that too far, you will get consequences and energy back that will make you progressively have a not as wonderful experience. You'll become finite, and you'll end up in a finite system. And finite simply means that the atomic structure will die. It will go back as space dust, but eventually your consciousness will go back as space dust. But you won't remember your journey. You won't remember your individuality, your individuation, unless somebody carries some memory back with you. And then you can actually pick up who you were once you get back as space dust. But they're kind of special arrangements that are made with the Adashi adepts that work with doing specifically things like that. The Ajuna can do things like that. The ones that are actually, their natural form is conscious air, and they can take on any form. They're very good at hosting like races through and stuff like that, if there's races that are going to go in a black hole fall. But not everyone that gets themselves in black hole situations wants to go into ascension. There's all sorts of distortions of consciousness and mind and ideas that they seem to think it's better. They think they can have a power play with God and eventually they'll win and those kind of things. So in these systems, you have huge amounts of consciousness. This is a lot, and we're just looking at one of the metagalaxies in this Vecca. There's 12 of them, and all of them are in some stage of fall. And it's because of this apparatus. All of them have some version of this apparatus. They call this apparatus the Mica complex. The Mica complex is a series of Metatronic gate systems that, and it was created actually by the Thetans and Borgia, which are from this matrix. The Borgias are from this matrix. And the Thetans are from various places, but ended up in one of our Universal Stargate #1, which is Theta Orion system. They're from the Orion system. So that's what when we say Thetans, that's what we're referring to. There are also some Thetans running around out here, and their philosophies are being taught by a major group that I won't mention. Yes, same guys, they're the ones motivating those people, right? But they don't know that. The people, of course, don't realize that that's where the teachings are coming from, because nobody's talking about black holes. So this complex, it has 5 primary, what they call pillars, and they call them the 5 pillars of the One. The One is Universal Vecca Core 2, because that is where they have a massive, black hole connection. This is directly connected into the massive Akasha. The whole Akasha had fallen. The Akasha didn't fall, but the whole Eka-Vecca system in it did in the Borgia set. So this is the One, and then there are 5 that are the main ones, and they have little triangulation gates. And this is where we get, when we've been getting the 12 12s and 11 11s and all those things, right? This is when pulses come through from these systems, and if you have any receivers to that encryption, that's when you end up being woke up at that period of time, right? And you go, oh wow, there it is again. Or you just happen to look at a clock. Or you start getting it in like room numbers. You go to a hotel three times a month, let's say for business, and you keep getting like the same weird number at 3 different hotels, or phone numbers. I mean, it can come in really strange places where it just keeps showing up and keeps showing up. It enters your hologram, but particularly when you're getting it like on the clock and that kind of stuff, that's almost an immediate pulse that has come through, and you happen to look at the clock at that time again. And usually it's like, oh, well, we could do that with any time. But it starts to happen so often that it becomes weird. It's just like, what is that? Some people in the New Age movement think, oh, there's a council of, I think they said 1,100 people from elsewhere that are guardians that are helping us, and they just do that. They do the 11:11 thing to let us know we're not alone, let us know we're there. Good luck with that. Oh, boy. Right. Well, yeah. So what we use the 11:11s and the 12:12s because even though this system here is fallen, actually this is the parallel of our Milky Way. So there is a natural part of its structure underneath it, just like there is for us. So there's an equivalent of Andromeda over there, but it's quite a bit different because this was quite a bit different. They were the same encryption, but this has been convoluted by. One of the things the Metatronic systems do is they first will tap into another life field, and then they will suck it into their system, and they will shatter the original encryption of whatever it is they got a hold of, and then blend it into some facsimile of it by blending it with itself. And so these systems, even though they are parallel, they are quite different than what we have over here. There is still the natural one that would be the natural parallel of the Andromeda systems over there that doesn't have that problem. And that is a saving grace, having that one there. That's the only reason we've been able to, or the Beloveds have been able to, from Eartha and the other ones that are over here behind this mess, whenever they start pulsing, they can send a pulse through and ride on it. Because these guys control the black hole set that's at the center of our Vecca, which controls the black hole sets that is at the center of our galaxy. Now, if you look at this alignment, right, you think it was bad enough we were like over in like rotation alignment with the black holes when we opened the gates in 2000. But not only that, the center. This would be the center of the Milky Way. Yeah, well, no, actually, this would be the center of the Milky Way. This would be the center of our local galaxy, right, which is a smaller group within the large Milky Way system. Right? It was in direct alignment with this. This is a very nasty alignment. It means it can get pulsed directly from the core of the Borgia matrix, and that they have a lot of power in that matrix. It is, it's a whole quantum from an Eka-Vecca system where the whole thing fell. So we actually started out with that alignment. So as soon as the gates did open, that's when they started, trying to activate the Mica complex over here. The Mica complex is not just located in these star areas, but it's also in the planet areas where parallel Earth has a whole set of complexes abusing their stargates, their organic stargates, and turning them into service of the mica complex as well. I forget how long ago it was, but sometime during the dramas that we've had just in the Earth record here, the Beloveds mentioned that the Thetans and the Borgia had invaded here. It was around the time, I think it was about, let's see, 25 million years ago. So somewhere in 25 million years ago period, when it was before we were seeded here, before seeding one of the angelic humans on this planet. They had seeded Parallel first, but Parallel got progressively taken out by the Thetans and the Borgia, and then they broke through over here, and they created a complex in the grids, and that one was called the Mecha complex, the Mecha-Mica complex, and they were interfacing, grid sets that were meant to, well, basically feed the beast by taking this whole place down. Earth has always been an important connection, has always had an important connection because of its interfaces with it's hosted into a star called Ashale that is actually around us at a different rotation of particle spin, so we can't see it, but it's actually there, and we would have to shift our particle spin to end up there, but it's like overlaps with us and it interfaces with Eartha. So anyway, this mica complex over here has been what the whole craziness about 2012 and the New Age movement, what revelations in the Bible, and going way, 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 way back. There was always something. There was always mention of the drama because it was in the race memory. Even after the races got wiped out and their memories wiped, there was still tinges of race memory about what was happening, the larger drama that we were a part of. And that has come down in our history in various ways. The main two ways are revelations and then the Mayan prophecies and those kind of things. They all knew something about this. The Mayans knew about it because they got visited by ETs that told them about it, that reminded them about it. And in other groups, I believe the Dogon tribes too have also had direct visitation that try to explain some of this to them. Can you imagine trying to explain this without being able to having a photocopier even? Right? I would be dead meat. I was thinking last night, one of the funniest things, if what was the salvation of Earth? Whiteout. Because I go through tubes of it doing these to get the alignments right and all of that, and they wouldn't have got here. And if this is helping us to get Earth through, I think whiteout definitely deserves a medal. Uh-oh, heats are coming. I'm going to take my jacket off here. Excuse me a minute. I've been blasting heats on and off for about 4 or 5 hours now. It's another one of those. I don't know if you're getting it yet, but we've been... to fill black holes with whiteout. I like that. A good idea. That's a good one. Thanks. Yeah. Right. So we were fortunate that after we got the gates open, even though we were in this heck of a predicament, because the Beloveds were ready, we didn't go through this like, oh, the gates happened to open. This was all planned for a very, very long time, a calculated risk, because it was the only chance of salvaging the system, but there's also a chance of losing it, but it was going to get lost anyway. If the quantum burned itself out too far, you couldn't even attempt to salvage. So the Beloveds have for years, since 22,326 BC, which was the last time they tried to get Earth's Templar working in a way that it could do a certain thing. Because this was the problem that we've been dealing with for eons here, now in this galaxy, in this meta-galaxy. And there's one potential solution to it, and it's Earth, or actually Ashale, the star that Earth was hosted into, holds a key position in relation to if you can't solve the whole thing, you can at least evacuate. And this is why it's always been a target, that Earth has always been a target, because it wasn't just this little planet or in this little solar system somewhere out in the Orion arm of this large galaxy. It actually had a direct connection because of these alignments and what it could do if they tried, if the ones from the black hole systems attempted to force things to a certain way where a certain alignment would occur. Then there was something that could be done with Ashale and with Earth that could at least hold off the inevitable, if it was going to go into a fall, until the life field could be, the Christic life field could be evacuated out. And anybody's welcome to be the Christic life field. It's not saying you can come and you can't, but it takes work. Look at the work that we've been trying to do. All the people that come to the workshops, just getting the information down, and then doing the techniques. We've been working with light body, spirit body, all sorts of things, progressively trying to reverse mutate the DNA, so we could actually do ascension. Because one of the big lies on this planet that every religion in its own way preaches, if they tell you anything about ascension at all, they make it look like it's completely out of control, just like, oh, you get a rapture and God takes you up. Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, and they also have you bury your bodies where you don't free it from the body cell, so you end up stuck in your consciousness, stuck here. These are distortions of the re-legions instead of the original legions of the Christ, because they wanted to keep quantum. And that's really sad. So it's like there are good parts of religions, it doesn't matter what religion, but there are also parts that are misleading you because they're disempowering you from being able to understand. A lot of the New Age stuff will say, oh, that's only mental body stuff, we're beyond that, we do spiritual body stuff. Yeah, it's like they think that the mind and the body are down here and the spirit's somewhere else, and you just tune the rest out and everything will be hunky-dory. Well, it doesn't work that way. Part of your consciousness, your spirit, is embedded in your atoms because it was your consciousness that was turned into your atoms through the solar symbiosis processes and the fetal integration process. You need to get your quantum back out or you get stuck. And this was known in the Atlantean periods, and these were some of the teachings that got thrown out as fast as possible when the grids were damaged to create the mental block, because that's what happened. There were certain aspects of the net that had gone up that were caused by the planetary level beast machine apparatus that literally affected the planetary electromagnetic grids, and that affected our epigenetic overlay, and that affected our genes, and it gave us a bunch of junk DNA that didn't work anymore, and we don't even remember who we are. So they're all connected. We don't remember because of that environmental condition that was caused and is caused by the beast machine. You know what's really funny? I haven't asked. I just got a nudge on this one. There's something to do with CERN to be concerned about. That, yeah, there's a little slight possibility it could make even a tiny black hole, but that's all right. What is it, a particle collider type thing? Yeah. Well, this is connected to this. The scientists who are building it don't know that. They're being guided on certain thoughts and those kind of things, and they get inspirations and great ideas, and they think, hey, this could work, this could be good, it could be useful, helpful to the world, People have been tricked for eons here into applying technologies that were actually that would cause their own demise, and that's what's happening with the science here as well. That between that and the cloning and all of that kind of stuff, because they are cloning. They're already cloning people. They're just not telling anybody yet. Right? Anyway, back to black holes. So when we see the final graph that took me ages, because it's like they don't just say here where I can see the graph and study it. I get pieces of it and parts of it, and it kind of comes through and then forms pictures on the page. And I'm going, what is that? And I'm feeling that. Wait a minute, that goes where? And it takes ages to do these, right? Especially when there's complex alignments. So we're over here now, right? We got out of this mess, and we did that by leaping, and the leap has to do with accelerating the base pulse rhythm and the encryption in the planetary core or the solar system core. And it wasn't just our planet and solar system that leaped. We literally have shifted the BPR of our, we've shifted the BPR of our planet and solar system into alignment with the BPRs progressively that go with those other probable metagalactic shields that we're a part of. So we're literally moving through and materializing through the new BPRs. Every time we have an acceleration, it changes the BPR a little bit, which changes our probability alignments a little bit. The probability alignments, to change them on a huge level, require a lot of energy incoming to change the BPR from a lot. And so we've gone through a lot just since 2000 when these gates opened. So we've moved the set, because we moved together. Well, you can say we moved together. Let's say the Andromeda ones stay basically where they are, and we just move through which alignments of them. But in each alignment, we will see an Andromeda galaxy up there. All right. So we've moved from the first metagalaxy into the third, and that leap that happened in August of 2008, and I forget what we were doing, but we were right there in the middle of it doing whatever. It's on that list we gave a while back where we analyzed everything that was basically done through all the workshops and grid work that was done. And I forget what we were doing in 2008. Not 2008, I'm sorry, 2003. 8 of 2003. Andorra, yes, right, Andorra. Yeah. We were trying to stop the activation of the Metatronic seed atom in Andorra. Yep. And that worked, actually. So that's part of the reason why we were able to make the leap shift, is because we had certain, it was almost like tit for tat between certain groups, New Age groups that are working with Metatronic, beings. They don't realize they're Metatronic beings. They think Metatron's good. They don't realize that Metatron is using black hole science. And they would show up and do something, and we would show up and do something. But usually, we would show up to do something because we'd be guided to a site, and one of their groups would show up. It was really funny for a while there. Remember, there's quite a few. I remember we ended up in Egypt at the same time as one of them, and we ended up at Machu Picchu at the same time as another group did. It was like, oh, hello again, right? What? Glastonbury, too? Right. Yep. Oh, yeah, they're the ones up at the Tor, right? Yeah, we even had it at the Tor in Glastonbury where another group had just done their ceremony of the sword thing or whatever, right? I mean, it's been really funny. It would make a funny B-grade movie, right? So anyway, we've shifted out. The first shift was from Metagalactic 1 to Metagalactic 3. Now look at that, the next one, please. All right, so that's where the alignment was, right? That's where the natural alignment was for the Andromeda of the Metagalactic 1. And that means over here for Metagalactic Milky Way, Metagalactic 1, because of their offset, the way they're offset together. And the way that I did this was literally I cut out on a Mylar the two of them together, and then I rotated them together on each one, lining up the one that was easy to line up, which was the one that's in the normal position, because you can line it up easily on one of the normal axes. So that's how we got the rotations, to see what was positioned. So we went from 1 to 3. Now this is the Milky Way 3 axis, and here's the M31 number 3. So you line it up on the M31 number 3, and it shows you where Milky Way is, right? Which is a step over. But they're still connected, and they're still together. So this is the Metagalactic 3b and Metagalactic 3a. And the A and B ones are simply that one that was the Metagalactic core of Andromeda that split into part Andromeda and part the Sagittarius A-star stuff mess that is in the black hole at the center of the Milky Way. And it actually goes further. There's something called the Abaddon that is down deeper in that hole, but science hasn't found that yet. And they call Sagittarius A-star, I believe, is the last one that they've figured out is the center of the hole or whatever, but there's more inside of it. So anyway, we made it to 3. And there was something that the Blevins had never explained where we had to leap to fully, but where we had to leap to is we had to make it to the 6th leap. All right, we had to make it to M31 at Metagalactic 7. We had to make it, oh God, it's clear on the other one, but we had to make it from 3 to the 4 alignment and 4 to the 6 alignment, because there's something that can only happen when we're aligned on the let's see, Milky Way Galactic 6 is there, and that puts where? I think I have a number wrong on this one. 5? Galactic 5. These drive me crazy with the double sets of numbers. Here's our alignment. That's where we are aligned now, right? M31, Metagalactic 6. This is the essential axis that was needed to do something that can stop that mess. not stop it, but hold the situation for a while in order for evacuation to take place, because it connects through into the center of our ECA. That would be our ECA center, and these are our VECA centers, but that's our ECA center. And then here, if you go all the way out, VECA 12, it will take you to the other connection into the Akasha 11, and that takes you up to the Akasha A12 in the different stack that we have. So if there was going to be a transmission set sent down from high above that could help us through that, it would need to come through this path. And the Crystal River host was designed to hold something called, here we go again, the Mashayahana vortex, which is part of the the host system that we'll see how that works in a little while. But we made it by August of 2003. We'd made it to Axis 3, but we still needed to make it to 6. Next one, please. So all the things we've been doing with all these wacky workshops that I always wish they could focus more on just the personal development part, so we could all learn to be happy, happy, joy, joy, like all the ones running around doing Metatronic teachings, because they don't worry about black holes and things, so they don't talk about them. But I can see why now we had to do what we did, because literally the fact that we have been anchoring these frequencies on the planet, the ones that are coming from the hosts, it's allowed it to go this far without us just being completely dragged into the black hole alignment. So I guess it's been worth it, but it's been a lot of work. Not just the work with the workshops, but with the constant, like we do a lot of work at home as well. I get pieces of the diagrams, I'm always in transmission, but just the undercurrent of being in a war. I mean, it has always been. There was like tug of war, there was like the astral attacks, all sorts of really crazy stuff that made it very, very difficult. And not just, for me and, my family, but for people of the Shield. So it's been a rough time for most of us, this ride since 2000 when the gates opened. And I think we're doing pretty good. And we've just made a big victory by reaching the Metagalactic 6 alignment. So this was November 1st of 2008. We finally made it from 3 into 4, so we made the 4 alignment. And that left one more of the metagalactic shifts to get to the metagalactic alignment we needed. And it would be at that point, that was the only point we could actually do the crossover. And the crossover, again, is shifting back into the natural Andromeda angular rotational particle spin alignments with our bodies, with the shield, and a portion of the planetary grids that can hold it at least for a while. So we have the ability to make it through 2012, basically, as you'll see what 2012 is about. So we made it to 4. Next one, please. And finally, we had made, during the Sarasota workshop period, we had anchored the shift, the Great Leap shift, from 4 into 6. And that was called leaping around. It's a leap shift because there's sets of 4 that kind of go together, and we actually leaped from one set of 4 to the next. So we leaped from 4, which is the 4-10-1-7 alignment, I believe, into the 6, which would be the 6-12-3-9 alignment. So that was a major shift. And the major part of it is it creates an alignment here that allows for certain things to occur that need to. Because what these do, when this whole mica complex over in the parallel Milky Way is activated, it creates this nightmare through the Dragon's Eye, right, that place where the two fields interface. And if it weren't for the fact of what is going to activate tonight, if we weren't able to do that, and it can only be done on this alignment, this would have just taken us in 2012. We would have been pulled into alignment with it. Doesn't mean we would have disappeared off our galaxy would not have fallen out of the sky and disappeared somewhere else, but it would have been progressively. Its Aveus body and Avius bodies would have been pulled into that alignment, and progressively it would have demanifested here and remanifested there. So that's what getting pulled into the black hole alignment means. And once you're in, you can't get. It's a closed system. You can't get out. You can only go in. So we made this shift, and this is good. So we are here now. We also have that interesting interface with this one. We have Metagalactic Core 6A, which is the center of the Andromeda one, and even though that's in the Andromeda system, it interfaces energetically directly with Achille and our Earth. So this is a good alignment. This is a key alignment here, and this is why we've been using the 333 right now, because we need to keep the connection between Stellar 3, which is Earth, in Solar System 3, in Galaxy 3 of the M31 Metagalactic 6 shield. That is the alignment right now that is holding our ability to hold host, and it is through that alignment that we started opening the triangulation that is the beginning of a vortice. It's not a vortice yet, it's just a triangulation of energy points that allow frequency from M31 system to come into this planet and this galaxy system, metagalaxy galaxy. And also means you will be receivers of frequencies from Andromeda at this point as well, where you will have your Vias body will have receivers turned on that will be able to begin picking up the primal life force currents that come in from there. So there will be probably some interesting, I would think, dream activity happening eventually, where you might start getting interstellar incarnational memory coming through in dreams and those kind of things. So don't be surprised. Okay, now let's see. I need to look at this one anymore. And on this one, I didn't show that whole mica complex because I just didn't have time to cut it out on the one and line it up and paste it up on the next one. But that whole mess is over in here, and we'll look at that again in a different diagram. But we are here now, and we're not going to stay here, but we need to stay here for a while. And when a little bit, once I get through these diagrams, we'll look at how these fit into time cycles too, because we are in a time cycle between now when we first entered this Metagalactic 6 alignment. We're right now in the Universe 1 alignment, or not Universe, but sorry, Galaxy 1 alignment. And we need to, by 2012, get into the Galaxy 3 alignment, but not go past that, because it's going past that actually the Beast Machine on planet is going to create accelerations in the planetary grids that try to move us very quickly through the BPR rotations or escalations that would bring us to a certain point of alignment by the time we hit 2012. And it would actually not just move us here. They're going to try to move us out of the 6th position and into alignment over here on the 12. Now we're going to end up in the 12, but we're going to actually have a split. We've talked about the phantom system before, where that's the part that's already fully aligned with the black hole systems, and then there's the part in the middle, the blended part, like blended Earth. We're on blended Earth. Part of it's net Earth, where it's netted, but it still has the potential to align with the rest of Earth, which is median Earth, the ascension Earth, and a part of it's called the caduceus Earth, or the blend, that is connected to the phantom part. So the whole system is like that, not just the planet. And there's going to be a progressive separation between the phantom system, which is going to go into that acceleration rotation and end up here right at the same time. They'll go through it this way. We're going to going to stay in this position until 2012, and we're going to build, our main thing is to get our galactic alignment into the 3 position, and then hold that so we don't get dragged with phantom Earth, and then we will be able to go through the center, do kind of like a Mashiach flash fold through what are called the middle domains, the middle actuality domains in the center core systems. And we will end up also in the 12, but in the 12 metagalaxy alignment, but in a different way than we would if we just got dragged in by the beast system. So for now, our codes will be, that sacred sentence will be as it is, and I'll show you in a little bit what that has to do with. The ones on top that go all the way up to our Akasha Aya level, but then they also go over into the Aquarian matrix, which is in an adjacent Akasha A. So those codes were actually given, to make, to anchor a loop of energy through that will allow the energy to come. And if you were up here in those systems, it would come down. It would come through the center of the Akasha A into the Akasha, and it would come into the epicenter, and then it can run here. And I'll show you on the larger diagram what the activation tonight is going to anchor the process of. It's going to open a large vortice that will allow for a safety net, actually, to be brought into this system, a frequency safety net. And I'll show you that in a little bit. Is there anything else on here that I need to say? No. Okay, next one, please. Is this the nightmare one? Yes. You know, it looks like a stealth bomber. A little. Yeah, where do I start with this one? 2012, Phantom Split and the Dragon's Eye. Well, this is the Dragon's Eye. The Eye of the Beast. I'll read this first if I can read my writing. It says, the 2012 Cosmic Showdown. Accelerations of the Omega Beast Mica complex will cause our metagalaxy to cycle into the metagalactic 12, galactic 3, solar system 3 position. All right? So it's going to drag us. It's meant to drag us, and it's going to be phantom that falls. As long as we get the crossover started and it anchors the way it's supposed to in the Aquiferian shield, we'll be able to do the same with Net Earth shield, and then we will not get dragged in. But the phantom set are going to get dragged in and accelerated to this alignment here, where this would be Milky Way metagalactic core at 12, right, on the 12 alignment. This creates this whole mess if this 12 alignment occurs. Here's the mica complex sets, and you have, like, part of the mica complex is the 6, 6, 6, right? You're in the metagalaxy 6, galaxy 6, solar system 6, and those 6s also anchored through planet 6s like Jupiter, right? Because Jupiter is actually the 6th planet. Meldak was the 5th, but now it's an asteroid belt because they blew it up. Okay, so anyway, this complex is meant to progressively activate. They've been progressively activating parts of this. You have the galactic 12 core here, and you have the solar system 12. Here's your 12-12 set, right? You have the 11, and where's my other 11 set? That's the galactic core 11, and the other 11's here. Right, so you have the 11-11s, the 12-12s. These are all part of the mica complex. And it's literally linking a bunch of powerful gates in the system, in the black hole system, through the big one that is the core Vega sun in the Borgia system, because the Borgia system cuts through here, right? That's the Borgia system line. So this is just a massive monstrosity, actually. It is the Leviathan, the beast that rises from the waters and comes and wipes us out. That's what I'm trying to do. Now, if we end up in this alignment, where is Earth in this? Here is Earth, right? We would be here, and here's parallel Earth. There would be a frequency link between Earth and parallel Earth, between our sun and the parallel sun over there. I believe that's Rabizod. And this would link into the metagalactic core, Milky Way's metagalactic core at the 12 alignment, but also look at what it puts at the 12 alignment. Before, when we were on axis 1, it was our galactic core that came on this line, on that direct line. This time it's the metagalactic core, so it can take out the metagalactic shield, not just the galactic shield. This is the big alignment they've been waiting for eons. They've been waiting to get us into this position, and because it's from here that they can triangulate all the way through, get the Vega 5 core, and just drag the whole bunch in through this system. And Earth was always a key, or Ashale was always a key to this, because of this triangulation between Earth, Ashale, and its parallel over in this system. And that's why Earth had been, that's why they built what they called the Mecha complex on here. They had the Mica over there, the Mecha over here. And they were the ones that would run these huge frequencies that were meant to drag the whole system in. Now, we would be, if this is why they said this is one activation set that is, failure is not an option, because they would have to pull the shield and get us out of here as fast as possible if, out of the system, out of the Milky Way, basically, if that didn't work. Because here, if we can do the crossover and begin to bring in the code frequencies from Andromeda. It will also bring them in from those higher levels all the way through, bring in that protective blanketed frequency that will actually allow us to shift our galactic shield so we can shift and grow into the BPR of the third galaxy. But we still need to stay within the metagalactic 6 shield so we don't end up dragged into this progressive acceleration alignment that the Omega system is going to do on this planet and in this system. So we don't get dragged with Phantom, in other words, into this alignment sooner. If we hold this until the 2012 period, then I can hardly wait to see the preparation for whatever workshops on 2012, because I know we're going to have some major events during that time of the great grand showdown. But we will be trained on how to anchor the pass-through, where we actually get to pass through into, like through the center, instead of being dragged around the whole rotation acceleration. We'll still come into alignment. We'll come back into alignment with Phantom. That can't be avoided. But what can be avoided is the triangulations that allow for this to happen. They can be avoided as long as certain alignments are held. And the one map that took me forever, this one took me quite a while too, because they're showing me this to that, and what am I looking at? And finally I got it enough where I could show the basics. But there's something interesting that happens over in through here if we're successful, which we will be, with the crossover alignment. Now that's on the other one, on the next one, I believe. I'll read some of these too. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So I show down accelerations of the Omega Beast. Okay, so we'll cause our metagalaxy to cycle into the metagalactic 12, galactic 3, solar system, I'm getting tired, solar system 3 position. And this is what this does if that occurs, and it will the Phantom system will go. This brings Earth into direct alignment with the Milky Way metagalactic 12 metagalactic core, the black hole. So it brings Earth into alignment. This is the stuff that I think some of the Mayan stuff was talking about, where Earth actually does come into alignment with the black hole at the center of the Milky Way and that kind of stuff. But it comes into alignment with a lot more than that. That's like the least of your worries with the rest of this going on. The big problem is not that Earth comes into direct alignment with the black hole at the center of the Milky Way, but what is aligning with the center of the Milky Way? That's the big problem, because that's the Vega 2 black hole system that's in the Borgia matrix. And that's like curtains, because that has so much, there's so much power within this complex that it will override. The system is damaged to the point where it can't withstand that kind of frequency coming in. So the Mayans were part right. They just didn't have the whole story, probably because they didn't have photocopiers, because it was very hard to do the maps with little, drawings on cave walls. Right? Okay, we're down to the end of that. Yeah, let's see back in. Where's the black hole? Okay, all right, so Earth and our sun, if we were dragged into this one, then I said Earth and our sun would draw into alignment with their parallels, both of the parallels, Earth and the sun's parallel, in Vega 2, and this would begin bringing in the mica complexes 666, 1111, and 1212 complexes online. So they would all come online through Earth and our sun. And these were meant to actually make the link so they could use it to pull the rest of the system in. That's why the system's always been valuable to those who are trying to do this maneuver, because that's why Earth and our sun, because they hold key positions of alignment that if you can get them into a certain position, and they already took over their parallels, so they have those under their control, under the black hole controls, they could use the whole system to literally bring the whole Vega in, Vega 5, into Vega 2. And what they want to do is actually sandwich it into what would be a Vesica Pisces fold, and then just feed off it. Yeah, and when they killed that one, then they'd wait till and try to figure out how to angle into another one, another living system, and that's how the black hole system beings operate. They have very advanced technologies of science and those kind of things that are used in ways, unfortunately, that are very what's considered anti-Christic. And that means not supporting of eternal life, but supporting of finite life and vampiring of energy. Okay, let's see. Okay, now, with successful crossover alignment, right, net Earth, median Earth, and Ashule will be held stable in the metagalactic 6 position and progressively engage crossover shift to the M31 Galaxy 3, Solar System 3, ST3, which is stellar 3 alignments, 333 alignment. They're only using the top 3. We're on Earth. That's really 4 3s together, but the 333s are enough, all right, for now, they said at least anyway. So we would stay in this alignment from now, when it's actually occurring through these 2 activations that are taking place during this workshop, until 2012. And then we would shift again to a 12 alignment, at the metagalactic 12 alignment, but it's a very specific one that allows for something very important to occur that involves the staff. You know how we have the staff is the vertical column and the rod is the horizontal one running left and right? Well, the staff of Eartha will be able to interact directly frequency-wise. Now remember, Earth is an M31, but it will be able to interact frequency-wise with the rod of Earth. So it will actually be able to hold the rod of Earth, which will stop certain rotations and will block the ability to have our systems taken down, the net Earth systems taken down, and even our metagalactic shield taken down, until we have to let go of that, which will be at the end of the 22,000, no, what is it? That's the other one. What is the end of the loadout date? 2230. That's it, right? So we'll be able to hold the host where eventually it is going to go, the Phantom system is going to go, and this system, not the one we're going to be in, but eventually the Milky Way system is going to go in this direction. It's going to go into phase lock with the black hole systems. But at that point, the gates will close. There's something I believe the Beloveds are going to do to stop them from using the Milky Way's connection to anything else to try to eat anything else. And it's going to be a closed system. It would become a closed system anyway once it falls into that Vesica Pisces lock with a black hole system. So by that point, we're going to be out of here, and we'll be moving someplace nicer. That's why they're teaching us to slide now. We've got 200 years to figure out how to do this, right? But the big thing that's coming up is the 2012 issue, because it always had, there was a reason it became like, oh, 2012, because everybody's been talking about 2012 for quite a few years, 20 years, 30 years, maybe even 40 years now. And this is why, because this is the alignment that is going to occur. There's little ones, the astrologers are figuring out, oh, the Earth is going to align with the center of the Milky Way galaxy, and some people think that's, yay, great thing. No, not great thing. Right. But we could go, yay, great thing, because that's such a not great thing, that great things had to be done to counterbalance it. So there are going to be very good things happening there, as long as the host mission continues successfully. And we'll see what the successful looks like. That it's a lot happier than this nasty thing. Next one, please. Oops, that's not the next one. Okay. Yeah, I'll use this one first. This is going back up for a moment to the whole Yucatha-Rista map, where we're looking at the Eka map of the God World gates, and we're looking at where we're located, in the higher parts of our systems, right? So this is we're talking about our Veka, and our Veka is one of the little balls inside of this Akasha, right? So we're building, this is going up all the way to our systems. This is the frequency we're opening. The beginning codes that were given at the end sequence of the sentence, the numerical sentence that you were using, they correspond to this, and the coordinates that were given correspond to these coordinates within the Akasha Aya over here, which is our adjacent Akasha Aya. This is where the Aquarian matrix is, the ones who've been running the Crystal River host for eons. And finally, they're able to open this passage, right? This passage that will bring in 2 currents that will actually be able to surround and come in directly in through, this would be the core of, what's this, our Akasha A? Yeah, through our Akasha A core, or Akasha A12, then into Akasha 11, through the Akasha 11 core, and then directly into the center. Sorry, I think it's the Akasha. Yeah, this is our Akasha, and these are the Vekas. I missed a step in there. But anyway, it's coming down through here. It will hit the center of our Akasha, our Eka center. And from here, it will create a triangulation that creates a big vortex that first allows these frequencies to hold the metagalactic shield from rotating, so it won't go with the phantom, and phantom will pull away from. So phantom is literally going to begin separating after this activation occurs this morning. That's when the phantom system is going to start separating away. We'll meet up with it later, but because we're going to jump through the middle in 2012 as far as our system alignment, where they're being pulled through the accelerations, which means there's a lot of things that we won't have to see that would happen in those probabilities that involve wars and a bunch of other mess. Doesn't mean we might not see some of it, but we won't see nearly as bad as what it was going to look like in the acceleration drama that they are creating. So it is this huge thing, and this is huge. They call this the Mashayahana core. All right, and this is where the priest caste is. These are the ones that are actually inviting us to, to join them. And as they're not just local guardian keepers, they're on a a cosmic level, actually. So they're inviting us into these studies that have to do with, they call it a priest caste, just like they call it Melchizedek thing, a priesthood. That doesn't mean you have to wear a white collar and you have to be male either. It simply means you're dedicated to the service of the Templars and the template pillars, which are the whole Stargate, cosmic Stargate sense. So we start little, and now we're graduating, because these frequencies they'll open up first in the Aquafarian shield. We're running a short cycle ahead. We have to activate first before we can assist the planet to activate when it comes to this particular crossover activation. So the next 3 workshops are about the Aquafarian shield getting its crossover, where it's made those alignments that are necessary, and the people's bodies have made those alignments. And this one is working on first opening up the connections to this that run through the biofields and through the brain. And we'll work on the ones that run through the body level on the Sliders 2 workshop, just like, or not 2, but Sliders 5. And then 6, there's some kind of integration process that I don't even know what that's going to look like yet. So I don't even know what the body part one's going to look like. I was lucky I knew what this workshop looked like. Boy, and I'm really hoping that they're not all going to be time crazy like this one. I do apologize for that. But this huge frequency set, there's like a set of big protective frequency arms coming down from the Adashi adepts that are the Mashianic priest caste of the Aquarian matrix. And again, this Aquarian matrix never falls. It's a control matrix. It's one that the consciousness that embodies there chose to be fully in service to the Christ, to the principles of the Christ, so they could, then they also agreed to stay in the matrix, where they weren't going to like push any envelopes too far, as far as like, how far can you push free will without getting in trouble, so they could retain enough frequency, enough of their own quantum in Christ alignment, that they could go and rescue. They're kind of like the rescue ship, almost like the Coast Guard, right? Where if your boat's sinking or something, they will come and try to assist you. And that is just the core purpose that their matrix was the consciousness field in their matrix chose to be in. And nobody incarnates in there unless they want to, unless that's the purpose they want to hold. So we're being invited to join them if we want to. It doesn't mean we have to be forever into service of the whatevers. But what it means right now is that we're willing to hold SHIELD down here and, get ourselves out would be nice, and hopefully help this whole thing to work. Because if we don't get, if this does not work, we're not getting out either, is what it comes down to. If 2012 goes badly, they have a very short time to pull the shield and, to like get who can out now and get them into, they'd have to take it into the middle domains and through Middle Earth, and then there'd be a lot of rehabbing the gene code to do there as well. So it kind of pays back to the old titles of workshops, like Personal Healing Through Planetary Service. Boy, they weren't kidding, right? Yes, we are healing ourselves, but we've been in the planetary service mission all along, with these crazy midnight and 4 a.m. workshops, doing all sorts of amazing grid work. So this is what's coming in, and this is what it's going to look like. You'll see in a little bit what it's going to look like when it's coming into the maps, right? So this is from the up higher level, but where it comes in and starts to enter our Akasha A and our Akasha core and into our Veka cores, but you'll see where it comes down in the closer maps in a minute. Next one, please. Which one is that one? I was going to do that. I don't need to know now. No, I know I was going to, but it's not that. Yeah. Essential crossover alignment activation 2. It's called opening the Mashayahana vortex of the Crystal River host into the Aquafarian shield. And of course, once our activations are done, then we will be assisting the planetary shield, the Net Earth planetary shield, and that's where these drum circles are what they're about. And we'll be using the codes, and they'll probably give us more tonal codes to use as well, and the drums, and literally bringing part of Net Earth's grids online with the 333 alignment, because right now it's a 333 alignment that we've got to phase lock in to stop us from getting dragged in with the Omega activations that are happening that would pull us into that acceleration that would take us into the Metagalactic 12 alignment with the wrong with the wrong axes of things. All right, and if we do, that's where we end up falling. Now, this is a good triangle. That thing that looked like a little Akasha looping around us from the Aquarian matrix, it will come down, come through our Akasha A, which is Akasha A12, and it would come down through Vecca 12 line into Akasha 11 center, and from there it would ride through, actually all of them, but the one we're concerned about, it would ride through into the Vecca core, and it will also ride through into the metagalactic core. All right, that's the metagalactic core that corresponds with the Andromeda matrix. So it will come through Andromeda, but it will also split, and this was designed to do this. This is a particular grid set that was designed as part of this host. It will also have the center line coming, but it will also send frequency here to our metagalactic core, right, in the 6th alignment, while we're in the 6th alignment, and up to here, which is the Eartha system in Andromeda. So it's literally linking frequency-wise. Andromeda, here's our triangle that we started with, right? It's now turning that triangle into a vortex of energy that allows that energy to come down this way, and there's the other side of it comes down that way and comes in here, and it literally creates like a sling that will hold this system. So even though the black hole's pulling on it, it will still hold it, so it can't be dragged. And for now, that will hold us till 2012. Then in 2012, we'll go through, and I can hardly wait to see the grid stuff on this. I don't know what it's going to look like yet, but with this vortex, we will be able to be guided through, and there's some kind of activation that will take us, instead of coming around to the 12 alignment this way by the progressive accelerations, we'll actually come in through the center and pop out. We'll pop out in the same place on the Vecca 12 alignment, but we'll be in a different set of positions. And right here is key for Earth, and what Earth is doing is actually key for holding the whole matrix till the end of the loadout. So before, when we had the other triangulation, the nasty one coming in from over here, there was a connection between Earth and parallel Earth that allowed the 666 to plug in, and the 1111s and the 1212s to bring that whole matrix online through Earth and, you know, Earth's sun. This has us, and it's a change. We will leave the probability alignment from metagalactic 6, galactic 3, right, solar system 3, and we'll bring it into the metagalactic 12, galactic 12, am I right? Yeah, metagalactic 12, galactic 12, solar system 5, number 3, star, which is Earth, stellar 3. Why? Because in 5, this is the alignment that will occur with this one. Now this is the Andromeda one, the M31, over on the metagalactic 12, right? This is Eartha in that system. They're still in solar system 3, still stellar 3, and still galactic 3. But to line up with those, we have to change our galactic alignment, and I believe, yeah, our galactic has to go to 12, and our solar system alignment has to go to 5. We're still in 3 because we're Earth, all right? And this will allow the staff of Eartha that comes down, the bottom staff, because the top would be up here at the center, and the bottom staff will actually send frequencies, and this is like coming down from the Andromeda galaxy, right? 2.5 million light years away. But these are like nanosecond bursts of frequency that just create a field and it doesn't take time. All right, they said it doesn't take what you would call time for the things to travel because they go directly through the Aeveus bodies. Oh, interesting. So there's still a whole bunch about the Aeveus bodies we haven't learned yet. So anyway, this alignment will allow this frequency to come down from here. And also, over here is where we have the interface with the M31. Again, this is Andromeda, but it's the Metagalactic 12A, Metagalactic core. So we'll actually have this frequency thing happening that will hold our rod, the rod of Earth, because the rod of Earth is what the Omega is designed to split. We've talked about that in other workshops. It's meant to split the rod, and that will literally crack the plates and send us into catastrophic wipeout very, very quickly. That's why they call it the Omega kill code. And this will stop that from occurring. It will also block the triangulations that go over into parallel Earth that allows that whole big matrix to come in and drag us all in. We will still have the phantom Earth and the quantum of this Vecca shield. It is going to fall. The Vecca is going to fall into alignment, into phase lock with this, but not until after the host is done. The host will last until 2230 AD. During this period, first we have the jump that we need to get to this set of alignments, which is the 12, 12, 5, 3. So we'll go from where we are to that. And then between 2047 and 2052, this system, the Andromeda system, is going to begin entering the Messianic fold, which is fold 1 in the folds of creation that we've talked about. So it will pull into alignment with its actual probability that's over there, and then it will begin pulling into alignment this way, where Vecca 5 will start to pull into alignment with Vecca 11, which would be his adjugate twin, into the whole Eka Akasha center. So then there's a stage after that. We would still be able to be on planet during that period of time, but when it goes to fold 2, where they're literally parts of the system, they're ascension waves going up, where parts of the star systems will jump up to the next level, and we'll be able to jump up a bit to the next level. It ought to be interesting to see where on Earth we're going to be, because that's what we're aiming for eventually. But we'll have stops going through the middle Earth domains first, and down in the center of Earth, and that will take us. They will show us what the path is from there. But what will happen after we leave? In 2230 AD, that is when the fallen, the Christfall host, the Budhara host, who allowed themselves to fall so they could actually serve this role and assist as a matrix is still running on Christic principles, but it is a black hole system. It's a last chance system for places that have fallen, but it still has enough quantum that it can hold them in the same position. This will be the position that the remaining part of Net Earth and CAD Earth and Phantom Earth will remain in the host, and until eventually once things evolve out of this system, because part of what they will be trained to do is to realize that they're in a falling system and that they're going to need to get off their planet eventually, because the sun is going through its Bardo cycle and it's not going to be livable. So they're going to probably see kind of like a Battlestar Galactica type of drama unfolding on Net Earth. That's not something that the Ascension teachings are meant for us to see. We're going to see literally an ascension, and we're going to learn to slide and get out of here and go see nicer places. But it's all been about this for eons and eons now, and it's coming down to the big final showdown in 2012. If we can make this, and there'll always be this issue, and anybody, where you're down here, even if we're protected by the host, there's going to always be the issue of these guys trying to blow frequency through to drag you down. And what it is for them is trying to generate enough quantum to overpower the quantum of energy that is actually holding your host, right? So they would have to overpower this whole set of frequencies coming through that will bring through those arms that are actually going to hold the system. But eventually, it would just, you can't hold a system like that forever. Eventually, you have to let something go so it can go back space dust return, because it's just stuck in the matrix otherwise. And that will eventually be the fate for Sovereign Fall Earth, that will go Christfall, but eventually it will have to relocate itself in its local galaxy, and it will have help with that from the other groups that are still working. There are Adashi Master type beings in the Budhara civilizations that chose to stay in those systems just so they could assist with things. They're kind of like, sort of like the Aquari groups chose to keep everything as perfect as possible so they'd be able to help and play lifeguards. Well, some of those, that even though the Budhara ones aren't of the Aquarian, direct Aquarian line, they chose to allow the fall of their matrix to occur, but then to sustain it with using CRISP principles. And because they use their system as a service system, where others from black holes that are following black hole and can't get out, they can come into those systems and still have a nice life, a nice existence. They can still evolve into the Christ as far as the Christ understanding and working with it and learning to take the best way home, and realizing that there are worse things than death, there are worse things than space dust. Being stuck in a vampire matrix is one of them, because they're just crazy technologies that abuse the heck out of everything, and the experience is not very pleasant. So this is what everything we've worked up to this point has been about, is the revelation of this problem that involves 2012, that has been a problem that has been there for all of the history that we have taught about Earth and that kind of thing, has to do with this beast machine. And this is looking at the guts of the beast and actually looking at it in the maps. I would be interested to see if, now that we know how these maps kind of translate into seeing the Milky Way galaxy and seeing the Andromeda galaxy, well, we know at least what general direction. If we could figure out, just like on the one sheet that shows how the galaxy, how the scientists' pictures of the galaxy, how they correspond to the maps over, over here, there must be a way to tell at least which direction in the sky this stuff is occurring from. And I'm very curious about that. So we could actually understand where the invasion systems are and realize we're not alone out there in the universe, and we're not by far alone. And sometimes we're better off being alone than being with some of the things that are out there in the universe, like those who choose to make machines like this. Anyway, that is what it's about on the big picture level. What do we have next? This fits into time frames. Yeah, well, this is part of time frames. All right. Now, how do these cycles fit into where you can, how do these rotations through, or BPR leaps through these probabilities connect into time? What you're looking here at first, notice there are 12, right? There are the 12, but there's also a set of extra that look like extra 4. What you actually have is a set of 8 lines and a set of interface with a set of 12. The 8 lines, I didn't have time to go pull it out, have to do with that 8-lined octant chart that we've used, where you have 8 octants in a cycle, right? When you put them together, of what does that mean in relation to the probabilities, it means you get in one probability, if this is like line 1, probability line 1, right? This is where probability 1 starts. It goes to here, then probability 2, I believe, no, that's 12 up there, here. So this is where it starts. Probability 1 starts here. And then probability 2 starts here, but then octant 1 ends. So you get 1 probability and a half in each octant, right? So that means the progression of frequency accretion that raises the BPR and the encryption that occurs in one cycle is as you're passing through the, let me phrase it this way. All right, as you're accreting frequency through the processes of harmonic key generation, etc., that is increasing the BPR and moving you from one probability to the next. Those probabilities are literally, they fall within the octant cycle, the sets of the octant cycle, which have to do with time periods. Now, there are ways to calculate. They gave me the time frames that we need to think about right now, but they also showed me some base formulas, and they're not all cycles have the same amount of time, right? I mean, there are different periods where each octant would be, say, this long in one type of cycle, and it would be a different amount in another type of cycle. But what's important to understand here is this is the Milky Way here, right? This one. And this would be looking at it this way, it would be representing the metagalactic shield. And remember, each little line in the metagalactic shield, each of the 12 lines, was a galaxy, right? So each one of these lines would represent the period of time when the galaxy, or the rotations of the galaxies through the metagalactic shield. So we can actually chart our time passage. If we're in galaxy 1, right? Where are we? Yeah, nope, up there. If we're in galaxy 1 of metagalactic 6, which we just entered with the Sarasota workshop period, right? We would evolve through this period. Now, if we knew what date that was, right? We do know that was the Sarasota workshop period. Then if we could figure out about how long each of these cycles were, we could plan it out. And one way to do it is to know the start time and to know the end time. The end time is between December 15th and December 21st, 2012. So this is our final alignment cycle as far as coming into the 2012 alignment. This is, in this period, we're going to have to move from 1 to 3. So we'd have to complete the accretion of the frequencies of this probability 1, finish where we are, also probability 2, and also probability 3. But that's where we want to stay with our galactic shield, because it's the 3 alignment that we want to keep until 2012, right? There's some other things happening too, because simultaneously Phantom Earth is getting the accelerations, and they're right in the same place with us now too, at a different angular rotation of particle spin. They're going to be getting the omega accelerations, and they're going to be trying to drag us into the progressive accelerations to get us up into the 12 alignment when we're still on the Milky Way alignment instead of at the M31 alignment. So when we're in this, staying in metagalactic 6, which would be, let's see, well, this would be metagalactic 6 shield, and we're going to stay in galaxy 3, which means we'd finish, where am I? Galaxy 1, finish galaxy 2. We'd finish galaxy 3, and we would stay like here. We wouldn't cross into 4. And it's from that position that we would actually make the leap in 2012. But meanwhile, the other one's going to be going this way. There's a point of interface that it becomes quite dangerous. It has to do with the crystal spiral versus the Metatronic spiral that we've talked about a long time ago. There's a point where the Metatronic spiral creates a harness, or attempts to harness the crystal spiral, and there's a point where they cross through each other, and that's the point where it tries to drag the natural crystallic spiral into the Metatronic harness. And that happens right around here in this axis. All right, and I believe it's right here, actually. It's right when it's crossing into here. We'll look at the spirals in a minute, and then we'll look at the dates. All right, next one, please. Oh, this is a quick flyby. This is just to show you there are different cycles. They published this a long time ago. But if we're looking at the galactic cycles, like how the galaxies passing through the metagalaxies, how long they take, they're usually millions of years, right? Or at least hundreds of thousands of years. Up here, when we get to one time vector, well, one time vector is 2 event horizons, which means one line, right, where you have 2 of those, like say, I don't even know what level, it's 2 galaxies or 2 whatever, 2 balls, right, on one vector line, because it's not just referring to, this is talking planetary, so we'd be down in the, probably in the, planetary solar. I don't even know how to plug that in yet on the diagrams, but for the solar ones, you're probably dealing with the solar galactic levels, the solar system cycles. These would have to do with the cycles, I guess, going around the solar systems, or maybe the probabilities of the planets. I'd have to find out. But the correspondence is between here is one time vector is actually 2 event horizons, which means one of those vector lines, say a 4-10 vector line or a 12-6 vector line. That would be one time vector. And when you have 6 time vectors, that's 12 event horizons. That's a full set, right? That's a full set of those lines. That's a full set of whatever of the Lumeridana spirit body forms, right? So that means that one time continuum, they represent a time continuum. Each time you see one of those cycles, it is a time continuum, and it is the passage through each of the BPRs, or base pulse rhythms, of each of those 1 through 12 probability fields that is the time cycles. Usually these are very, very long, and it takes, where's an SAC here somewhere? 26,556 years, which is 6 time continua, 36 time vectors. That's like 6 time continua. That would be 6 times round, right? In one of those probability circulations would equal that. So this is how what we're learning about probabilities actually plugs into the time scales that they told us about before. But right now we're jumping probabilities. We're moving them quickly because we are in a starfire evac ascension cycle. So it means things that would normally take lots of years we're moving through those vectors very, very fast. We're making future leaps as far as BPR goes. That will align us with the futures we would prefer to see, which is still in the living metagalactic shield of M31. So eventually we're going to evolve through into the systems of M31. And from there, sky's the limit, I guess. Next one, please. Got that, huh? This is just to remind us of when we talked about quite a while ago back, I think, this was before Tenerife, I think, even, whatever. But the beloved showed us how to use the Cathara grid proportions and how to actually spin them to create a set of embedded ones that actually create the natural Christic spiral, where there's a lot of hoo-ha in the New Age movement about the golden mean spiral and the Fibonacci spiral and the golden mean rectangle and all of that stuff. All of that stuff is Metatronic teachings. And there was a time when they showed us how to compare the crystal spiral, which has a different sequence. What's neat about the crystal spiral, it basically comes out to times 2, I believe, where you go 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 16 times 2 is 32, you know, all the way up, and it keeps unfolding at that rate instead of the Fibonacci sequence. And this is a natural cycle, and we went through all sorts of stuff explaining how these spirals and the flames that they form, how it fits in with the starborn cycle and all of that, with the light body structures and all of it. But I wanted to bring this back just for a moment because I want to show the interface of the spirals, because that's what's going to happen at a certain point where those octants interact with each other. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, too, one easy way to understand the octants, you know, here's the Cathara grid in there again, right? If you go, bug, right? There was a bug flying. It's gone. No, it's still there. But the octant cycles come from, we were talking about the creation cycles, and it comes off of the Cathara grid, actually. So you have one line, that'd be the 0 point line. Then you have the next rotation, 2, 3, 4, where am I? 5, 6, 7, 8. Right? You have a set of 8 lines, right? They're the ones that interface with the 12, where the 12 are the probability lines, where you have the spheres and the spheres. But these are actually the time cycles. They have to do with the growth of anything, right? Because it starts with the creation point, and then it expands outward from there. You could also plug into this graph there's one circular graph that I have with all sorts of lines that talk about the tachyon cycles of the harmonic key generation cycles, even the point where it starts at fetal integration, and then you have the Navajo cycle, then the Sita cycle, then the Rasha cycle, and then the body's born, and then you have the growth cycles, right? So this all plugs in together. But they come out of here, basically those 8 axes that come off the Cathara grid. This spiral here, this funny looking one, here's the compare. You can compare the 2 of them. This one these are the golden mean rectangle proportions and stuff. this is the we call it the fib of no chi because it has no chi. There's a particular type of energy. It actually doesn't have a relationship with its center. This comes out from the center point and continues to expand from there. This actually has to suck onto something. It's like a little snake that has to like hold on and then suck energy from something to be able to it's a vampire spiral, to be able to vampire energy from something else in order to continue to expand itself out into expansion. It has to feed off something. And what it's used as is a harness field. When you put these two together, this is the perfect crystal spiral, and that's again the Fibonacci one. When you put them together, what you get is the crystal spiral, right? That's this one. It's running inside. It starts off smaller, right? And at a certain point, it starts to expand and go through accelerations where it's starting to get bigger and stronger, right? Right here. Now, at that point, too, these are interfaced with the Metatronic sciences. They interface, and these are like technologies that are built on how to interface things in this way so you can harness them, create electromagnetic harness fields to suck and drain the energy from them. But you have to have a core something alive to start with. So what they do is they tap onto the core something alive, and they drag energy out of it, and they create this larger harness around the smaller, less quantum spiral that's just trying to grow. And at a certain point, they cross through right there. Right? That's a certain time position in relation to the octant cycles, right? And that is where a certain acceleration occurs, and that's where the harness grab. That's where planet Earth is going to feel the grab of the Omega code, trying to pull it into the acceleration that will take it into the black hole alignments. Next one, please. Okay, and these are the ones that I do want to get to you. Let you know if we have to mail them to you, we will. Because it gives you the reminder of the dates, and I didn't have them, down. They weren't done to get to Kinko's in time. But basically, we start here. This is the start of our cycle was April, and this is the start of our entering into Metagalactic 6 alignment cycle. Right, that started April 13th, 2009, Sarasota Drum Circle period. All right. Now, from then until September 30th, 2009, that will be Octant 1, right? Then Octant 2 runs from September 30th of 2009 to March 15th, 2010. And then Octant, where am I? Yeah, Octant 2, right, Octant 2. Then Octant 3, am I at? Yeah. I get confused with these. I have to look at them head on. Octant, where am I? Octant 2. Octant 3 goes from March 15th, 2010 to September 1st, 2010. And then Octant 4 from September 1st, 2010 to, where am I? February 15th, 2011. This happens to be the point where we're starting to get into issues of the sextant spiral, which is the spiral we just talked about, the Fibonacci spiral. That is when that draw starts to happen, where the crossovers between the natural crystal spiral of expansion of harmonic key accretion is occurring, and it gets interfaced, and that's where it's going to start trying to drag us into the Milky Way fall alignment. All right, and that is going to occur. The pull starts around February 15th of 2011, but the full interface of those spirals and the harness comes, and this is where Phantom Earth is going to be pulled into that alignment, into the fall alignment fully, is June 4th, 2011. Now, if we don't make certain things as far as the crossover goes, by that point, that will also be where we're going, where this planet is going. They haven't said anything about Earth change potentials when Phantom and Net Earth are separating. I don't know what that's going to look like. They will let us know if it's anything we need to know about, I'm sure. But then we have the Octant 5 cycle. It's during the Octant 5 cycle that interface occurs, where the pull starts to happen from the Omega code. And let's see, Octant 6 cycle starts August 1st of 2011. and goes till January 15th of 2012. Then Octant 7 goes from January 15th, 2012 to July, I think it was 5th actually, I forgot to put the 5, to about July 5th, 2012. And then the Octant 8 cycle, which is the final Octant cycle, right, goes from the July 2012, July 5th, 2012, to December 15th through 21st of 2012. And that is when we do that pop through, whatever, I just call it a pop through, whatever it's going to be, some kind of messianic fold that allows us to do the leap in BPR into the metagalactic 12 alignment, right, in the, with the proper tilt, where we have our AVS bodies are tilting into the M31 angles instead of being dragged into the black hole fall ones. So this is the beginning of understanding the end, the end times, right? This is what the end times, all the stuff about end times has always been about. We should be able to get through this all right. We've done really good so far. When you see what we've come from as far as those alignments that we had, I'm glad they showed us after we got out, because that would have been enough to just really be depressing. And it's not depressing now. We're actually in the, we've made all of the alignments that we needed to. We were a little late on a couple of them, but we made up for lost time. And the shield is still holding. And even though the Milky Way is going to end up as a fall system, there's still plenty of time for an evac. And that evac will hold with the host. And we are bringing that host here by anchoring these frequencies. There has to be somebody here that can run the frequencies, that has the DNA coding to be able to run the frequencies, to be alive on planet, to be able to let this planetary shield have the assistance. So there are times when we have to finish ours. We started our shield activations here, and we're running through here. Right here, Aquiferian shield needs to lock in, which means it needs to lock in to the Metagalactic 6333 configuration. So we have to have passed. We're still in 1, Galactic 1. We have to accrete and accelerate our shields to the point where we're in alignment with 3, with Galactic 3, still in Metagalactic 6. And then we go into the net Earth shield doing it. So we're like we're an octant ahead of them, or like 1.5 octants or something. Yeah, 1.5 octants ahead of them, I think it is. So this is where the net Earth shield has to be, and we have to be ready to assist the planet in anchoring that in the grids, and that's why we're doing the drum circles. 2 of them are drum circles, and 1 is nighttime Chandra shield on the beach type thing. And last time we did that, we got orbs all over in St. Kitts, so you never know. Yeah, just call them Orb Fest potential. And we're going to be learning more about the orbs, I really hope so. I do know there's a lot more on the AVS body training, but they want us to know, as far as the AVS body goes, that, and remember that when we say AVS, we're referring to the part of the Shalaya light unit that surrounds each of your atoms, that is that top ball, all right, of the Tribeca configuration. And that is what they call a water gel, as opposed to a thermal gel of the other 2 that phase. And there's a lot more that they're going to teach us about the AVS and the AVS bodies. But when we are working with the technologies that we're working with here, the activations that are coming in now, they're directly interfacing with the AVS body, which is the little ball on top on around each of our atoms. And that is the one that will determine, they also call it the vibrational body, and the others they call the oscillatory body. So I believe this determines, all right, the AVS body connects directly with the spirit body, where the VAS bodies connect with the light body. So we're actually shifting our spirit body alignments in like little atom by atom, the spirit body that goes with the atom, the AVS, into the proper alignments with the Metagalactic 6333 alignment, so we can do the crossover. So we're actually crossing over the alignment of our VS units in order to begin the process of our atoms being able to cross over into that alignment, which is required to be able to slide, and a bunch of other things too, including anchoring these frequencies on the planetary level during 2010. Next one, please. Okay. This is just to remind us of the fact that those maps literally fit in our, this is part, they're saying this is part of our Arvaeus body, or our Arvaeus body, where it's actually like a water gel. Now it's a water gel you can't see from here. It's not materialized here. It's of a different substance than the atoms are, but it surrounds the atoms, and the it literally forms like a cloud of energy around us. And our own fields, when we have our pentagonal flows turned on that we talked about in the other sliders workshops, the earlier sliders, it actually creates these little pre-atoms, like pre-quarks, that come together to form atoms. And that's how our atoms actually form in structure, by little Shalea light units with their Avias and their Arvaeus coming together and forming the little sub-sparks in the center, and then they cling together and they form forms. And they build structures that you don't see first, right? You see the atoms later as they come together and actually fill out atomic structure. There's a form underneath, and they answered my question just briefly when I'd asked before I came down. I had mentioned, I think, in the orientation that I had seen this strange effect in Sarasota, where just like walking outside of the hotel, I was seeing this almost like crystal white like structure that was inside of and kind of like behind the structures of the building and stuff. And what is that? Is it ectoplasm or what? I don't know. Am I seeing crystal chelons? What am I seeing? And they didn't answer me then, but they said what I am seeing is the Arvaeus body. So this is what it looks like. It actually looks like it's made of crystal. Imagine crystal water gel, right? It's like a crystalline, but it's not hard crystal. It's kind of like squashy crystal, and it's actually the stuff of. You could think of it in terms of thought forms. Like where do thoughts come from? Where do they go? Well, they come from various places and they go various places, but when they leave our attention, they actually go into the Arvaeus field, which are certain planes that are connected to us and to the planet that are like thought form fields. And from there, they accrete and build frequency until they form atoms that become manifest and materialized down here. So they wanted me to know that thing that I was seeing is that kind of like ghost image in and through objects, and it was stationary objects I was seeing it on, not like people walking by. It was just like the corner of the building. There's another corner of the building with it, but it's like made out of white stuff. What is that? So this is part of the teachings that they're just introducing. But excuse me, they called the Sliders 4 workshop, introduction, or like introduction or intermediate Arvaeus body training, because these activations that we're doing, we have one more activation and technique to do. Like we'll do it together. It's a technique, it's a journey, and which is a technique. The activation is coming in from the beloveds, and we will use the technique that you can take home with you, which is the call, because you can use that to call in certain things and to open certain frequencies within yourself at whenever you want to. Now the certain frequencies within yourself have to do with the brain. I think I'll do the brain ones next. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, double brain, that's good. Yeah, oh, by the way, with these brain diagrams, someone pointed out to me that I believe she's a psychiatrist. She said, oh, by the way, that's the bottom of the brain, right? That one's upside down. You're right. That's the underside of the brain, right? But that's okay, because I'm using it as if it were the top. What's most important is in the diagram, the only reason I use it is to show you've got the pineal thingies in the center, right? You have eyeballs on stalks, right? And you got your gray matter. These things I don't talk much about, which you might have to change those if you realize you're looking at it from underneath, because that would change left and right. But you don't need to change left and right in the way I've described it as far as the alignments, because I've been using the diagram as if you're looking at it from the top down. So those were the left and right orientations that I was giving. So even though the diagram is upside down, just ignore the fact that it's not the top of the brain. It has eyes and it has a pineal and it has a brain to show you the basic how things are lined up in relation to that, because we haven't gotten in heavily into things in this one. We talked a little bit about this stuff, but fortunately we used these graphs for it, the ones that are sideways, which the most you can do is get left and right mixed up. Anyway, next one, please. All right, this was just showing the correct alignment when you take that shield, right, that map, the metagalactic shield, and you align it on your head properly. Over here, now here we go again. I'm kidding. Every time I try to do this, because it's not facing forward, I have a problem with this. Coming through from your left side would be the natural alignment for that Eka point, right? And the circulations, we've talked about those before. There should be circulations going back and forth through the head, and they actually would come out through all of them, so you'd have vision coming in from 360 around you. It's that eventually we will go back to these flows. We're beginning the processes that will assist the atomic structure, the mental body structure, and the avias body to go back into the alignments that these are possible. Next one, please. This is showing the misalignment, where instead of having the angle come in from the back here, it's actually coming in from over here, and that twists all sort of things that I talked about yesterday. The only reason I wanted to show you these again is so we can get to the next one, where we look at the triangulation that we opened in the first activation and see what that's going to look like. Now, we showed it on the map, where we showed the Mashayahana vortex opening in relation to that triangle on the larger maps of the cosmos. So we're also going to see that that applies to our heads as well. So we're going to get this opening that literally, and this protection frequency that comes in, and like the protective arms that come around and hug you, but they come in through your head at the moment. Right? We'll show you where that comes in. Next one, please. Right. Now this is what we activated yesterday. Is that backwards? Follow the scribbled words. That's upside down. Yeah. Yeah, I think that, yeah, that's the right way. Yeah. So this is the triangulation that we opened yesterday. And there are little points in the brain that will act as receivers for the specific frequencies. These will be coming in from the Andromeda system, which are the M31 Eartha frequencies here. And these were from the Adjugate Eartha, actually, the Adjugate over there still. And this one will be receiving from Metagalactic Core, but through this triangulation. All right, so it actually tempers the mess that's usually coming in from Metagalactic Core in our, in our brains from the Procyon broadcasts of the beast. And now it's going to extend out. Now, if you take the map, that extends out to this point, that is the Metagalactic 12 core. That's what we're going to be aligned with in 2012. All right, that's the alignment we're going to leap to in 2012. So we're going to align there, and that will take us directly into relation to the Eka, and that takes us out to the Akasha, and the Akasha A, and the Akasha I, and up into the Aquarian matrix alignment. So it's going to literally come in, and this would be, since we're pretending this is the top of the head, right? This would be the right side? Yeah, where am I? You have to go like this. You have to be over here. I get totally dyslexic, especially if I'm tired with that. So we have to look forward to this lovely tunnel opening. And yeah, it's through the mentor space, yeah. And it's also, it'll have frequencies coming down here, but there will also be another loop that comes down around through the other side that makes those arms that are coming down, and to receive the direct frequency broadcasts from not only the Andromeda set, but all the way up from the source of the Crystal River host, which is the Mashayahana, I'm getting tired. Mashayahana, there we go. Mashayahana core of the Aquarian matrix that is in the adjacent Akasha A. So, and they are the source, the ancient source of the Crystal River host. So this is a big one. This is a really big activation. They said that as far as the what do they call them? The sentence, right? The sacred sentence. As far as they're actually numerical codes, but in whatever specific language from over there, the Aquarian matrix, that when you use them, they call open certain gate sets, and that was listed on that sheet. We didn't have that sheet ready to print either. That will be in the stuff we want to send you as far as explaining what they are. Right. But we will be, they're going to tell me in a couple minutes, we're going to take a break before we do it because this will be the last thing we do, so there's not going to be a lot of chat or anything after. But we'll come back from a short break, and it's a good time to do the bathroom run if you need to, because we're going to do the toning bits with the sentence, the sacred sentence, and then they're going to take us through a journey of some sort, which is one of those they're going to run live. Oh, great, am I still awake? But it's easier to read them, because I can give them the as and say, so would you read this? Yeah, that was excellent. Yeah, that would be excellent. Yeah, the people who were doing the drumming when we walked in, and were singing them, if you would come up front when we get to that point where we're doing them and run that, we would be really thrilled. I haven't even got to pronounce them out loud yet. Right? Right? Actually, almost. But not all in a row fast. Not all in a row fast. They're going, so anyway, we'll take about a 15-minute break, and we'll come back, and the activation will come through while we're doing the journey. So, okay, good. I just got the technique down. This is cool. Oh, this is going to be fun. Yeah, actually. And you get to, once it's open and activated, you get to take it home with you and play with it from there on. Basically, I'll give you a rundown on what it's going to be. They want us to do the sacred sentence set, and they would like us to do 3 rounds of 12 2 times, which means, no, 3 rounds of 6 2 times, which means 12. There we go. Yeah, 3 rounds of 12 times 2. I'm falling asleep. 3 rounds of 12 times 2. Oh, there. That's times 2 times 2. There we go. Yeah. All right. Yeah. 3 rounds of 12 times 2 equals 6 rounds times 2. All right. So there'd be a pause in between them. So you get 3 rounds of 12.
Speaker 22. Have you got that?
3 rounds of 12 times 2. That makes 6 rounds.
Pardon? How
and
many
then you do
rounds
that twice. I think it comes down to 6 rounds of 12 twice. No, 6 or 6. I don't know. 3 rounds of 12 twice equals 6 rounds. 6 rounds times 2. Let's leave it at that. 6 rounds times 2. Yes?
Right.
With a pause in between the 6, like a little bit of a pause.
6 rounds.
That's what that comes out to be. Right? No.
No?
No. 6 rounds of 12 twice. Yes.
144 times.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I don't even want to add it up right now. I'm having a hard enough time speaking the numbers.
6 times 12
All right. So, yes, we'll do 6 rounds of 12. No. Yeah. No.
No.
I can't talk anymore.
No,
we will do, 6 rounds of 12.
Twice. That's 144
That keeps
times.
it simple.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, it does, until you count.
Right.
Right.
Then, now these tones, this is the call of Aurora, the Aurora Continuum. It begins the process of setting the, in your Aveus body, and remember that's a water gel body, it's setting the vibration of the encryption of those, like unlocking the gates all the way up through that sequence that we described, going all the way up through into the Aquarian matrix. All right. Once we get that done, then we're going to go into this journey, and the purpose of the journey is it's to get the activation to activate the. Oh, here we go. That word again. I'll just call it the Mashahana. The Emma. I'm going to use a shorter version for this, especially since I have to repeat it once I'm doing the journey. How about just the Masha Vortex?
How about the MH?
How about the Masha Vortex? We'll just use it because we'll be talking about the Masha. I'll just call it the Masha Vortex, okay? But it means the Mashayana, Mashaya Hana. That's it, Mashaya Hana. Yeah. But I'll call it the Masha Vortex. Know what I mean? Okay. So what we're going to do is literally as the beloveds are transmitting, the opening of this vortice to our shield, we will anchor it in the shield in each one of our cells. We're going to go into, the first one is to do a little bit of the AVS breathing, where you're breathing through the spaces in between your atoms, and then bringing yourself as made of blue dots, indigo dots, into the aurora continuum. Then we're going to meet there one of the Arjuna, but as an orb person. Right, they're just going to be like an orb being hanging out with you. And, okay, let's see. Then, while you're in that state, you're going to pull yourself, that part of yourself that you projected there, into orb by pulling all the blue dots together into like a little core crystal inside of it, and just having the orb around you. And these are neat. These orbs, they feel different or more orb-like, because they gave me a little bit of the activation as it was going. They're like water gel globes. They're really neat. They have a feeling that not as hard as Jell-O would be, but they cling together, like stick together. They're not runny, but it's a different consistency of orb, right? And I could feel it. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then they're going to have us pull ourselves in. There's like the breathing thing. You inhale and you contract up there and pull yourself into that orb state. Then you bring the orb and your little crystal that's you inside down into your Azure, and then exhale it out, and it comes out around you, so you have the orb actually around you, and the part of yourself that you'd sent in a Bilo projection and still in your Azure. And then they have us using the imagery of the Milky Way galaxy, and then behind that another spiral galaxy representing the Andromeda galaxy. One would be about a foot in front of us, and the other would be about a foot behind that. So 2 feet in front of us you'd have Andromeda, and 1 foot in front of us we'd have the image of the Milky Way. And then they have us do a couple things with that right in front of us, and I'll read those as we go. If I can turn my pages, there we go. All right, and then things say blue beam. Then they're going to transmit through those images. They're going to transmit like an indigo beam of light. It's kind of like indigo with a bit of aqua mixed with it, of light, that like a flash beam that flashes from Andromeda through the Milky Way centers and like right to you. And if you want the activation, allow it to come through. It'll go into your pineal, and then like right through your third eye, and sixth chakra into your pineal, and then it will make the triangulation that's already activated in there from yesterday kind of vibrate and kind of flash blue. And once we get that far, and what it's doing there is like fully activating the 333 alignment triangulation, in your head. Indigo. And then, okay. And then once that flash blue thing happens, then they're saying to feel what they're calling a wide pipe of energy, about as wide as like a tennis ball would be, but it's like a tube, like a tunnel of energy coming from over to your right, and just sense it there and just feel it coming, and it will come in and connect with the triangulation, and that's when it turns it into a vortice. And then the vortice would like come out this way, but the tube would stay attached, and the tube actually extends all the way up to, through the matrix that we talked about, all the way up to the Aquarian matrix. And at one point they say once the tube comes in and that opens, and I think they're going to do it all at the same time, so we'll be able to call it, which means it won't be just individual. It will be, they'll say, okay, and now, all right, this is when it's going to pop and turn into a vortice and open the tunnel. And they said we're supposed to like kind of turn around inside our heads with keeping our eyes focused here, but open our inner vision out the side of our head as if we had eyes there, and look up the tunnel. And then they're going to, and it was really neat when they did it, and they only did it really fast so I could scribble it down, where I really saw them and felt them like way at the end of the tunnel, and they're kind of going, hi. Right? And they're having the Aquafarians actually be there. The Aquafarians, they're the ones that are part Aquarian and part human, and they're kind of going, hi, up the tunnel. And then they're going to have us go into pull ourselves into the bilocation state, into our jelly orb, and send our jelly orb up to visit. And if we want to have the whole circuit, if we want to be able to keep doing this, and like it's a stronger projection where you get they call it, what do they call it, the arms of protection. Remember in the drawing it showed one current coming through the vortice, right, where like you'd have the tube coming down, and then the vortice opening in your head kind of this way, right? And then there's another flow that will come down, and if you want to have the arms of protection around you, which is the full circulation, then you'll feel another, like, just tube coming down, like entering down in and crossing through, so it creates the circuit. And then you can project, this is why I said we're going to have fun with this one, because you can use those tones, that sacred sentence, at home, to open that chamber whenever you want to, and you can start orbing out and go up and interact with them, and you can also go just about anywhere from there through the Aquarian matrix. Like, you can visit just about any place safely through there, so it's a safe very safe way to do the projections and those kind of things. And so if you want to play with that when you get home, they'll assist you if you want help with it, and so will any of the other ones we call your Buddha buddies, right, that are the different races that are helping. But you can go if you want to go, you leave, you take your orb up into your, make your orb with your blue dot body that you compact into a little blue dot in the center of a jelly orb in the center of your azurite, and then you'd bring it up and just send it out to the right and have it go on its journey, but then when it comes back, bring it back through the left. So you just keep with the circuit. And the circuit is like, it has many veins that go off in all sorts of other places, but it is a protection. It is like a circulatory system that is protected. So it's the beginning of another level, a more advanced level of projection, and we get to take it home and play with it, with that. And they said, especially, you can begin to have more powerful experiences with, interdimensional travel and things, if you use that in combination, like just using the tones that we do here, and then projecting in the orb, up to go visit and learn things in other places. If you use that in combination with the technique that Az ran with you, that was, I forget the name of it, the one that's on the paper that they're going to get. That I don't think everybody has a copy of that yet. It was on the internet for the people from the Sarasota workshop. But if you use those in combination with the 33-day pattern, where it's actually, you can use it for 33 days. If you use those two together, you can start to really clear the net fog. It will help clear the epigenetic overlay, and that's actually what's keeping the mental focus so phase locked into 3D. So it should begin to, again, peel off another level of blockage that's in the way of you being able to perceive more interaction more clearly. And they said, like this with anything, it work. The more, if you use it consistently, it will work. It doesn't mean you have to do it like day in and day out. But this one seems fun. I mean, it just opened so quick, and it was so strong. That was really cool. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a run through on that. Let's see, travel out the orb, yeah. So we will get the activation with the technique as we're doing the journey. The activation will occur when we get that current coming in from the side that opens the vortice. Well, actually starts when we get the blue beam coming in from the front through the galaxy lineup. And they're using that symbology because what it's actually doing is they're transmitting it through from the Andromeda Galaxy metagalactic core into our metagalactic core, but through the loop, so it can bypass the Procyon black hole at the center of the metagalactic core, so that doesn't allow that to open in our heads, because that was always one of the things that the Omega crew had planned on was, yeah, good, go let them try to activate, because if they do, it'll just open that, that up right inside of their heads, and where they'll be, full online with the Metatronic broadcasts, and this will bypass that because of the triangulation set and because of the higher frequency, or the stronger frequency that's being brought in from the above the Akasha levels and things. So, on to the next one. Let's do the tone drumming thingy for the drummers. Thank you guys so much for getting that so fast. I was hearing you practice out there. I was like, oh, cool. They've already made it into a song, and it sounds neat. Yeah.
I'm going to be the official counter.
Okay. No. What was it again?
It was, you said 6 rounds of 12 twice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, how much of a break do you want in between round 1 and round 2? Like a big breath or a...
Kind of just like a...
Okay. Okay.
3 of those.
And then the second one. We'll have 2 more workshops for techniques to add to it. I wonder if we're going to answer.
I'm on your mic, though, I'm on your mic, so no more of this.
Probably.
You're drawing and counting on that. Mylar? Mylar? Mylar?
Yeah, they didn't have it, did they? That's why they didn't matter. We gotta get them the rest of this stuff. It's in the mail.
And if I remember, I will hold my hands up at the beginning of the last one, so you'll know when to stop.
I'm gonna take you home. My chair closer because I have to sit back. My back is really tired.
job, Josh.
That was round one. So there's one more round.
Not 12 more?
You know what?
You call that high?
We have to do one more round. Is there anybody that likes to sing higher? Because it would be cool if we could break it up into, and they told me something during this, that the next part is to do the adjugates for each of these numbers, right? And then there's something else, there's another set of numbers where you end up with 3 sets with the tones, with 3 different groups of people singing them all simultaneously. So, not tonight. No, tonight is gone. Tonight is just tomorrow
Tonight's
already.
tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, but when you get home, because you will have these, right? You'll have the copy of these. You can start translating that for yourself, at least with the adjugates. If you know, if you remember anything from what we taught of adjugates, is whatever's the number on the opposite of the same vector line. So you could look at a clock, and if you're looking at number 1, you trace a straight line down, you know, through the center, and it'll be number 7, right? So you can just translate them that way yourself, if you want, for the adjugate set. Yeah. We really have to do a whole other set.
At the end.
So do we do one
Yes.
round with the adjectives?
Yes, yes, right. Yep, you got that. Right. They said there's a good idea. They think you got that one. That we will do the other set to close after we do the journey thing. All right, so we'll do the journey, and then right as we're closing, we can do the final round of it. They actually said it'll accelerate the activation of the
Perfect.
the Masha vortex in your head.
Goodbye to yesterday and hello to tomorrow.
Yes. Yes. Alrighty. So now, let's take a couple of breathing where you inhale through the spaces between your cells and into the aurora continuum as if it's within and behind you. Kind of inhale and hold. And then gently exhale back through the spaces between your atoms. And feel a lovely little flood of indigo light start moving out when you exhale. And just breathe for a little bit, being aware that every time you breathe, you're inhaling and exhaling through the spaces between your atoms. And you can hold a little on either end to just feel the connection a little stronger. Okay, and as you're breathing, Avias breathing gently. Next, imagine that you can feel and see all of your atoms in your body, and they're little tiny blue dots of indigo light. There's like billions of little blue dots of indigo light that make up a 3-dimensional you, but it's made of light. In a moment, we're going to inhale and pull that dot light body into the aurora continuum a little bit behind, still within your body, but a little bit toward the inside of the back of your skin. Your skin's the skin on your back, the inside of that, right? So inhale into that level. And then gently exhale upward from that level. And imagine that now you can get the second station turned on in your vision where you can see your blue dot self up in the indigo blue hallway of the aurora chamber, the aurora continuum. Now hang out there for a minute and see if you can sense your the Ajuna, because everyone, an Ajuna will come and visit everyone, and they will be in orb form, in what they're referring to as the jelly orbs. They're a bit more solid than the little skinny, thin air-like ones. Okay, the Ajuna are coming in. Everybody should have their Ajuna now. If you don't see them, that's okay. They're with you, because they're all present and accounted for, they said. They just gave me the heads up. Yep, we're here. Okay. Now, they're gonna continue to hang out with you, but now we're going to inhale and pull together inhale from both your physical body and the projection of your blue dot body, and inhale all the blue dots into a center point up in the aurora continuum. At the bottom, at the top of the inhale, just a little bit more, and pull that little dot into your Azare. And then exhale gently and expand orb out around you. And try to feel the texture of this. It's more like a jelly orb. It's a different texture than a lot of the orbing projections we've done. Try to sense the difference. You could fill the orb with a bit more of just gentle breathing of the Avayas breathing. Every time you inhale, you're sending back flow back into the Aurora continuum. And every time you exhale, you're bringing a backflow return out into the space around you and in your orb now. Now, they would like you to call to mind an image of a spiral galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. And imagine about a foot out in front of you, right in the same alignment with your third eye, that it's right here in physical space out in front of you. Imagine that there is a point that is a spiral galaxy that is the Milky Way. And then about a foot out from that and up a little bit further, imagine there's another spiral galaxy, and that is the M31 galaxy. If you can't see them in your mind's eye, that's okay. Just intend them to be there. The beloveds will use those intention as an encryption-coded anchoring rod so they can begin the activations. And in a moment, the activations will begin when they send the blue beams. First, the beams will come through as a spark, like a spark in the center of the Andromeda galaxy image. And then from there, it'll create a blue beam that comes from Andromeda to the Milky Way and directly to you. And if you want the activation, if you don't, there's no obligation, you don't have to. But if you want it, it comes directly from the Milky Way part directly into your pineal, or your third eye and your pineal. And as soon as it comes in, it's like a really fast blue spark, like a pulse of light, and it activates to the next level the 333 triangulation that is in your head. So in a minute, they're going to get ready to transmit the blue. So let's inhale for a moment, and they want us to inhale and hold, and then they'll send it, and when they send it, we'll exhale. So as we're exhaling, the frequency is coming toward our third eye. Okay, so let's inhale and hold. And exhale now. You might sense a little bit of a vibration that once it moves so fast, I didn't even see it at my own. But it went, it was a pulse beam. Okay, but I did feel this weird vibration sense in my triangulation in the middle of my brain. See if you can sense anything there like that. See if you can sense too that the triangulation inside, around your pineal is now, glowing with like indigo blue light, and it's getting ready to activate to the next level. Okay, as the frequency is building, the indigo frequency is becoming more intense in the triangulation. There's going to be a little flash point where the triangulation kind of pop flashes. And at that point, and it will be the same point for everyone because they're synchronizing the activations, so nobody gets left behind. Just try to sense the vibration as the energy is building in that triangulation. It's almost like watching electricity run through a triangular shaped circuit, and it's getting stronger and stronger every time it runs. Okay, and let's inhale and wait for it in a minute. And exhale, and it will be flashpoint. Top of my head went numb. That was interesting. Okay. And now that it has flashed, try to sense going out from your right side of your head but it's not touching your head yet. Try to sense out there, past your mentor space, out bit in the field, that there's a tube or tunnel, that wide pipe that's about tennis ball width, that is gently coming toward you. And try to sense it as it's coming in. You may feel a gentle wash of heat with it as it's moving closer, and it'll move right in through the side of your head, the right side of your head. And it's starting to move toward into range of your heads now. Okay. And it will move through your head and into only to the halfway point, to where it's lined up around that triangulation. Okay, and now inhale and hold for a moment. And when we exhale, the triangulation is going to pop and become the Masha vortex. And exhale. And try to feel this vortex open, coming out the right side of your head and connecting to that tube, that tunnel that leads way, way up and out into the Aquarion matrix. Try to sense that long tube and the vortex that opens in your head. The mouth of the vortex is actually pointed toward the left, where the small, skinnier part is to the right, and it's to the one on the right that the tube connects to, the tunnel tube. Breathe gently for a moment or two, and as you do, try to sense first as if you're turning your attention toward the inside of that vortex, and you're looking inside the vortex and all the way up through the tunnel that it's connected to, up to the right, without moving your head though. As if you can turn your awareness around inside your head and look out the side of your head, up into the, starting at the pineal, looking through the vortex, up through. Okay, now we can remember our orb is still around us, and call to mind the piece of our self that we had turned into the blue dot person and then turned into a tiny blue dot in our azure. Let's move into a state of bilocation now, where our orb will stay around our bodies, but we'll send that other part of us out with a small orb around it, and we'll send it first. We'll inhale and bring up the small speck of ourselves from the azure up into our pineal, where it's sitting at the mouth of the vortex now. And then exhale and pop out a small orb inside the middle of your head, which is the orb around that little spark of awareness. We'll inhale and hold for a minute. And when we exhale, we're going to push our orb self in bilocation straight up through that tunnel to about halfway. Exhale. Now, attempt to see from that perspective, of your bilocation perspective, you're an orb that has 360 vision all the way around, and you're finding yourself inside a tunnel that is like a tube. And in front of you, imagine you can see a whole group of guardian beings, and they look like they're just bathed in light. You can't really tell who's shaped like what or whatever, but these are good guys. There will be a lot of the Aquafarian there, but there's also other members of the guardian race groups. And imagine that they're up there. Try to feel they're beaming down to you, a greeting and a welcome. And they're also bringing an invitation for those who would like to be a part of the Mashayahana ministry. It doesn't mean you have to do anything different, but if you would like to be a part of their educational programs and that kind of thing, you can let them know now, and they will be glad to work with you. They'll start in the dream state or in sati state, which is where you're not really fully asleep, but you shift your consciousness. So let them know if you would like that now. And if you don't, that's okay. You can think about it later, because you're being invited to join them and to visit up there and in any of the many other conduits that this secured pipeline will be able to take you through in the wild world of the probable reality systems. And take another inhale breath and hold for a minute. And when we exhale, we're going to move all the way up the tube and into this big, bright, just bright white light space. Exhale. Now, if you'd like to have the full circuit, the protective arms to activate, we will come down through, make a loop literally from the Aquarian matrix, and we'll return our orb through from the left side. So it makes a link right into the, from coming in from the other side, makes a link in the center by connecting the mouth of the vortice. If you don't want a full circuit, yet, or at all, you can come back down from the right side if you want to. But we'll inhale and hold in whichever way you want to come back down. Push your orb down as you exhale. If you chose the path that comes down from the left when they connect, you might feel a spark, or for me it was like this starburst shot up and down my central vertical column. It was like, whoa, cool. All right. All righty. Now you can use this. This tunnel will stay open, but it will to activate it, where you can easily orb through it and visit them if you want to, or even go and like kind of sit in the bottom part of the tunnel and say, hello up there. Can we talk? Will you help me with this, please? Or would you advise me on that, please? It will also give a secure place, even if you don't want to fully orb to go visiting. This connection is actually run through the Aurora Continuum, the protection fields there, which are around the central actuality dominions. So they're part of the network of the Aurora Continuum. So they're quite safe and private spaces that you can communicate from. Working from this space can enhance your ability to communicate with and feel the responses of the guardian groups. So it is a beginning place. You can also visit anytime you want by just sending your jelly orb up. And also try to feel your jelly orb more often. Play with it when you're doing just a little bit of a VS breathing through your atoms. Just do kind of a hold on an inhale, and with the back flow return, push your orb out around you and just try to feel it there. They'd like us to get used to orbing too, and then we can go traveling and have people take pictures of us. Alrighty. Alrighty, that will be the activation. And again, using this with the 33-day technique that you will, if you don't have it from the internet, we'll get that to you. I think that's going to be available on the internet for everyone, isn't it? Yeah, the technique will be available. And the Stellaeus will be available on the internet for everyone. We can't put the maps out that way because they just won't print clear enough. There's too much detail, so the closest you can get is a photocopier. So we'll probably be sending those to a mailing address so you can get the physical copies. Okay, and we have one more round of the sentence. Oh, God. Yeah, it would be really good if we could put some modulation of tone in there as we're singing the same things, but do some harmonies and harmonics like that for people who are good at singing. I used to be able to do that, but my voice is shot at the moment. Yeah. Oh, and maybe I should say goodbye and have a good, wonderful trip home, and thank you and all that stuff now before, and then we can do the final activation, and then just kind of get up and go. At least it'll wake you up enough when by the time you get out, you feel you'll have a bit of energy happening. So I don't have to go back into and bring you back down again by chatting at you. So I just want to thank you before we do this last round. Thank you for being patient with this workshop. I hope you've enjoyed the information that you've received and the activations. And thank you for being here, and hope to see you again soon. So, and have a very safe trip home. And I guess we go into the last set. I will just say set. You guys are keeping count. Start out, no, not to start with. No, let's start out slower. Yeah, but build up to the crescendo at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
la,